I like how you did that there, you fella. I see what you did there. Hey, everybody. What the fuck is going on? We're back. Before we get going, we got to get through our business points. We got to sell you on some shit that you don't want or tell you about some shit that you've already heard about 100 times before. That's what we like to do. We like to be repetitive and then bore the fuck out of you. That way, when the podcast gets going, you're like, God, this is so much better than that fucking commercial.
It's the foreplay, or is it? No, it's more the blue balls.
You know what it's like? You know those insecure comics that would always bring terrible opening acts?
That's what that's like.
That's what it's like. The commercials are our version of a terrible opening act. One of our sponsors this week is Ting. If you go to rogan.ting.com, they will offer you $25 off of either cell phone service or one of their new Android phones. Ting is a cell phone network that uses the Sprint backbone, but they have their own rules. You don't have to have contracts. They have great phones. They have great deals, excellent international rates. Brian had a great time with them up in Canada. It was like a fraction of what his AT&T bill was, and he used it all the time. The service is excellent. It's not like a Mickey Mouse network. It's Sprint. And they just have it set up so they buy time on Sprint, and they give you a better deal. They also credit you for unused minutes. Like if you have a certain rate that you're going for, a certain amount of minutes, if you use less than that, they knock you down to the lower number, and then they credit you the difference on your next bill. It's a super ethical company. It's really, I like the idea behind it. I don't like contracts. I like the idea that you can get some of the best high-end Android phones, like the Samsung Galaxy S4 and the Note, that crazy fucking tablet phone. They have that too. So rogan.ting.com. Save yourself some money. Speaking of save yourself some money, ew, how gross would it be if that's how I did my commercials. All serious like that. Stamps.com is another one of our podcast sponsors. If you buy any of Brian's T-shirts, Brian Redband, who's not here right now, he's doing one of his Comedy Store podcasts. He did all those Death Squad T-shirts that you see with the kitty cat on them. That's all his artwork, and he prints them up, and then he sends them himself using Stamps.com. And he openly says that if it wasn't for Stamps.com, there's no way he'd be able to do this because he'd have to wait in line at the post office and they have to measure each box and weigh each box. It's annoying. If you're trying to do, if you have a small business and you're trying to send things through the mail, Stamps.com is a fucking amazing resource. You do all the shit on your computer. You do all you enter in the addresses, you weigh it on a digital scale that they provide, and when you print it out, you just stick that on your shit and then put it out for the postman, and then you're done. You don't have to go to the mailbox. You don't have to weigh things and measure things in a line where a bunch of people are mad that you have all this shit. If you go to Stamps.com, there's a microphone in the upper right-hand corner. Click it, enter in the code word JRE, and save yourself $110. You get $55 in free postage coupons, free digital scale, and a bunch of other cool shit. So that's Stamps.com, and the code word is JRE. And our last but not least sponsor for today is a new one. It's LegalZoom. I've never been in trouble with the law, Bobcat Goldthwait, because I'm a good boy.
I have been on many occasions. Sure, of course.
I wonder if you could have used LegalZoom to get you out of trouble.
I don't know. I set the Tonight Show on fire, and then I had
yeah, I remember that, man.
So I don't know. Could LegalZoom help me?
Let's see. Tonight Show on fire.
Arson. It was reduced to a misdemeanor. I think it was. I don't know what they ended up calling it, but yeah. could LegalZoom.com help I wouldn't say I was an arsonist. That was the thing they wanted to say.
It was part of a show.
Yeah, exactly. I was an artist, not an arsonist.
An arsonist doesn't try to hide it. Or an arsonist, rather, would try to hide it. They wouldn't do it on camera in front of everybody.
And they get horny, too. And I was really relaxed during the whole thing.
Yeah, they get horny. I bet they do.
Yeah, they do.
Do they get horny? Arsonists?
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Listen, this is nothing
So what does LegalZoom do?
What LegalZoom does, it's not a law firm, but they provide self-help services at your specific direction. They can also connect you with an independent attorney if you need additional guidance. Now, if you go to LegalZoom, like everybody knows that going to a lawyer is very expensive, and it's also very time-consuming. And what they have done is sort of set it up so that you can go to LegalZoom and you can get businesses started. You can form an LLC, and you can do it for a lot cheaper than it would be to go to a lawyer. You can legally protect your family and assets with LegalZoom. You can write a will on LegalZoom. In the past 12 years, over 2 million Americans have used LegalZoom, and they've saved a ton of money. The online process couldn't be easier, and they'll take care of you from start to finish. And you go to get a special discount from listening to this podcast. Just make sure you enter Rogan in the referral box at checkout for more savings. So remember, LegalZoom's not a law firm, and they will provide you with a contact with an independent attorney. They'll connect you. If it gets squirrely and you're like, oh, I'm fucking going to jail, don't worry. Just keep it together, bitch.
3 great ways to save money. You could you get a divorce and then use stamps.com and then call the person and say, hey, did you get that divorce yet? I'm in Canada right now, and it's costing me a lot less.
I think you nailed it.
I got all your sponsors.
Take all her clothes and call stamps.com and weigh it on your scale and then send it to her.
And now that that's all done, I need a fleshlight.
We don't use the fleshlight anymore. Now
we've
created a conundrum.
Oh no! A bona fide spit take. Miss a little, miss a lot. I didn't realize that. All right, I didn't want to bring up any sore spots. Let's finish LegalZoom.
There's no sore spots. It's all good. Well, anyway, LegalZoom for a will, it's only $69. All right,
wow,
that's a great deal.
You can't afford not to die.
You can't afford it at these prices. It doesn't get any better, kids. Now's the time.
I'm gonna kill myself tonight because of these bargains.
Use the code name Rogan. Save yourself some money. And we're always brought to you by Onnit, but this commercial's gotten far too long, so I'm gonna end it right there. ONNIT is the company. What do we sell? Fitness equipment, and supplements, and healthy food, and bee pollen made from killer bee honey, and hemp protein powder, and all that good shit. And if you look at the website, use the code name Rogan, and you will save 10% off any and all supplements. All right, I'm very fucking pumped for this podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll tell you, I am too. That is a tenacious beekeeper, though, that gets the honey from the killer bees. That is, I like his, I like his sack.
Cue the music, Jamie. The podcast begins officially now.
Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
This is officially where the Sirius satellite part starts.
All right.
The other part with the commercials is only on the internet.
Got ya.
So from here, that's why it seems like we don't need the music. We should probably. There's probably a better way to do this. It's probably a real momentum killer too. Doing the commercials as a part of the sitting while someone.
I gotta tell you, I wouldn't mind if you did them through the show because Grandpa's got to pee a lot, and the last time I was on, I didn't know I could get up.
Listen, anytime.
Don't worry
about
it. I got a catheter this time.
Just bring a bucket.
Have you ever had a catheter?
No, I bet it sucks.
Cheese and crackers. Those are my 2 biggest things, is getting a catheter, which I got, so I'm over that. And it really, but by the time you need one, it's sweet relief. It was the nicest thing anybody
By the way,
ever
the
put in
voice
my
that you're hearing, that's Bobcat Goldthwait, ladies
yes.
and gentlemen.
I'm playing Bobcat Goldthwait tonight. This is Bob Scratch Gold Farm, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for having me back on.
Oh, please. Thanks for being. I really fucking loved your Bigfoot movie,
Oh,
man.
thanks, man.
I watched it last night,
Thanks.
I was really psyched to watch it because I'm a Bigfoot dork. I'm a Bigfoot dork from way back.
You know, I know that, but I also was a little. You're the first person I gave it to that didn't see it with an audience. I've been doing some screenings at film festivals and things. Oh, wow. And I thought I was worried because I'm really happy you liked it because I didn't know if it would lose something sitting there by yourself.
No.
Because it's fun to watch the movie with an audience.
Yeah.
I was in Baltimore and it was beautiful because it was a really Baltimore's great and so a really mixed crowd. And I mean all races and all working classes and stuff come to this festival. So I'm sitting behind. It was beautiful through the movie. I was sitting right next to a couple black guys who were beautiful. They're like,
they were going crazy.
Bigfoot. I can't tell you which part, but I was thinking, Bigfoot, and they were yelling, and made me so happy.
Well, I had to ask you about something before we got on the air because it was such a creepy movie. There's so many moments, and I didn't want to give away any spoilers, so I knew. I'm like, I gotta ask him this before the podcast
about that.
starts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and yeah. So I try not to talk about some of the things that are revealed, but I do talk about a lot of the movie. I'm really happy. Thank you. I mean, this is the first review. I mean, I got a couple. I shouldn't say that. There's some nice reviews online, but that's really nice. So.
I loved it.
Great.
And one of the things I loved about it is you were completely true to Bigfoot lore. Like you added in all the stuff that Bigfoot had, like the knocking and the howling sounded exactly like a real Sasquatch.
Yeah, and
supposedly.
I didn't go in to be snarky. I mean, I think the movie's got stuff in it that's funny, but I wasn't trying to, I wasn't trying to mock believers in Sasquatch. I just, because of a couple of reasons. One, I've always saw myself as an outsider, so why am I going to pick on one of the most picked upon subcultures? I was talking to Dan Harmon, and we were breaking it down. Like, in picked upon or misunderstood groups, it goes like Ren Fair enthusiasts, then it goes Taliban, and then Sasquatch enthusiasts, like as far as people will cut them some slack or try to understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's so true. Poor Sasquatch hunters. They don't catch a break ever.
Well, I went to where the Patterson-Gimlin footage was shot. That was and that was the germ of the whole movie for me. Really, was it was me since I was 9 years old wanting to go to that site. That's really, and then I happened to make a movie. But that's the reality of it.
This show that
I'd love to tell you I didn't well up, but I did.
I'm sure you did.
Of course you do.
I would too.
It's crazy.
I don't believe in that footage. I think that Bobcat Patterson footage is utter horseshit.
Really?
Yeah.
But why? Well, this will be good.
First of all, because there was a guy that says he did it named Bob Hieronymus.
Yeah, Bob Hieronymus.
And
but Bob Hieronymus can't find it on a map, though. He can't find Bluff Creek on a map, or he couldn't. I mean, he was gone, but.
Yeah, well, just because there's a lot of places I've been that I couldn't find on a map.
Yeah, that's true. I go home to Syracuse and I go, I know I lived here. I know I lived on this street. I know that's where Dougie Toole and I hit Danny with a shovel. But
I went back to where I went to high school.
That sounds like I killed someone. I want to clear that up. I did not. Where'd you go to high school?
Newton South, Massachusetts.
Okay, yeah. You grew up Jersey and Massachusetts?
I was, but Jersey was born.
Yeah.
But I lived in San Francisco. It was a long story, but age first 1 through 7, I lived in New Jersey. 7 through 11, San Francisco. 11 through 13, Florida. And then 13 through 25, probably New York, Boston, and then New York. So 25 New York, 27 LA. It keeps going.
It makes for an interesting person. The only
it makes you a very insecure childhood.
Yeah. Were you the new kid every time?
Fuck everywhere, man.
Really?
Yeah. That's why I learned martial arts. I got tired of people fucking with me.
Did they beat you up?
Yeah, people always threatened to. I got lucky that I avoided it.
But you're a funny guy. I mean, didn't you use that?
I wasn't very funny. I'm going to be honest. I wasn't.
You could have had writers. I mean, you didn't, sometimes you got good delivery.
I wasn't comfortable enough to be funny. I probably would have been funny around people if I got to know them really well, but around in class, I wasn't fascinating. I wasn't very
So you're really quiet.
Yeah.
And then getting picked on, and then you learn how to kick ass. But how often did you actually have to use it?
Never.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
I've got one fight in high school. It was really quick, and it was I probably could have avoided it. Like, sometimes I think about it, I could have avoided it.
And do you regret you didn't avoid it?
Wow. A little bit because I hurt the kid.
Sure.
But I didn't hurt him bad.
How
I just hit him in the stomach.
How long was this fight? It
was pretty quick.
Yeah, it's about how long?
But it was at a point where I was competing. I was competing a lot in martial arts tournaments.
So this guy hit you. I mean, he
was going to.
And then you took him out.
Yeah.
With how many hits?
Okay, it was just one.
Yeah, that's.
But
that's kind of badass. But now, if you didn't know you could do that, you wouldn't respect it.
Well, it's also, I probably did it to show off. I could have avoided it. I could have avoided it. Like, even though he was kind of a dick.
Got you.
He's also a young kid, just like me. We're both retarded.
Yeah, and testosterone squirting out of your ears.
You make mistakes. Sometimes you start things you don't even want to finish, but you're stuck in a quagmire.
Yeah, and was there people around?
Yeah.
That had to be the last fight. I mean, no one probably messed with you after that.
Well, I mean, people are always. If you are looking for trouble, you're gonna find trouble.
Right.
I never looked for trouble.
Right.
But when you're in high school, there's unavoidable situations where you don't even want to be somewhere. You know what I mean? In your life, you have control over what you choose to do for an occupation.
And who you're with.
The kind of people.
But maybe my shape and everything protected me from, you know what I mean? Like, if you kick my ass, it's embarrassing. Oh, you kicked Goldthwait's ass? Oh, big deal. like you kicked the fat doughy guy's
Yeah.
ass, and did your fist get stuck? Was there suction noises?
But I never was like I always wanted to avoid conflict. Of
course.
It's, the only reason why I ever learned martial arts at all was so that I would be scary enough so people left me alone. Like
Yeah, but I
those-
mean, like, and I always there's a bit in my act about the voice of death, and that's I'm gonna kill you. That guy's gonna kill you. A guy who's like, I'm gonna kill you. Yeah, he's just some dumb drunk jock that his buddy's got to pull him off of him so he doesn't get in a fight with you.
I've met so many scary people in my life. As far as like physically scary people, especially all the years working for the UFC.
Right.
Like the idea of running around in the same world as some of these people was fucking terrifying.
Right.
Because most like UFC fighters are very calm and they get it all out in the gym. But
Yeah.
if you zig when you should have zagged and you run into the wrong person in the wrong time, like many people have, it's like it's up to them whether or not you stay safe. It's up to them whether or not they just beat the fucking shit out of you. I've seen it happen to people before. It's really. I saw a guy get knocked out in Denver. I was at the Comedy Works in Denver. It was a really cool place. And I saw something happen that totally didn't need to happen. There was a guy who was walking down the street and he was really fucking drunk, and there was another guy who was sober. And the guy was drunk, said something stupid to the guy who was sober, but he wasn't a threat. It was clearly not a threat.
Right.
But then the guy who was sober just beat the shit out of
Right.
him. And you could tell the dude was totally impaired, and the other guy was like stronger, more athletic. Anyway, he was just looking for an excuse to beat the shit out of somebody.
He just wanted to beat someone up. It's like the heckler figures out they're going to heckle and the guy who gets in a fight, before they even leave the house. I mean, I really believe that.
Some people do, yeah.
I
Some
think a
people
majority
just
of them
draw that in.
But I don't know how we went from Bigfoot to ass kicking, but that's all right. I mean,
It doesn't matter.
But it's like I'm not proud that I have the ability to really. And I'm not known for this. I mean, a lot of folks aren't familiar that I do stand up, but that I can really decimate someone in the audience. I can really. I mean,
I bet you can.
Really bad. And in fact, I truly don't usually even. My daughter, my new wife, the 09, my exes, they all would.
You call her the 09?
The 09, yeah. She's still got the new car smell. She's so like. The 09, they see this like switch go on, and they leave the room. They get uncomfortable, and it's just like, rah! And I'm really not proud of that. That it's a horrible skill,
Well, it's a defense mechanism for doing stand-up, I think.
But like you don't even. I mean, when it gets going, I truly don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about the Comedy Works, man. It was this. Oh my God! You know how people will yell out where they're from, and there's this horrible night there. And I love the Comedy Works. I think that's probably, if not the best club, it's one of the best in the whole country. But one of those, horrible shows, and people go, "Do the voice, do the voice." They want me to do this voice from how they know me from years ago, and I'm not doing it. And then this woman in the back of the room, she goes, "I'm from Aurora," and I go, "I know. You've learned to sit in the back." And I truly didn't think of that in advance, and I felt, did I feel bad? It was such a weird response that even the crowd kind of didn't even go, whoa. They kind of just pretend they didn't hear it because it was so weird and horrible. But I really the switch goes and I say things, and I'm not saying I don't take responsibility for them, but I'm usually later on surprised that I said it. I berated a table full of women this one night. And they were very, they were acting like the show was all about them. And I just berated this table of women, and then one stood up sobbing, and she's like going. By the way, I forgot even what I said, and it was a couple of minutes later. By the way, people love these kind of stories, and they love watching it. I mean, a bar's never emptied out. They go, 2 guys are getting along in the parking lot. Let's watch. So I'm up there, and this woman stands up crying. She goes, "I'm not a whore. It's my birthday."
Oh, no.
These are the things I'm not proud of. So,
do you think that comes from doing stand-up in bars or around Boston, to building that defense mechanism?
Of course, in Boston, that was the hardest place to do stand-up comedy. It was horrible. It was, but when I got started, it created so many unique characters and so many. I got started, and it's like, who came out of that group? It was like, Lenny Clark and Dennis Leary and Stephen Wright and Barry Crimmins and, just all these different unique voices that came out. My friend Tony V. And so it was really tough to do comedy, Paula Poundstone, but you were forced to have your own voice, you know?
Yeah, you guys were ahead of me, and when I first started doing comedy and started doing open mic night, I was really aware, because of all you guys, like what a crazy scene it was.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was really...
There's so few places on earth, people are hate this on my podcast. Oh, they're going to talk about Boston comedy again.
Oh, really? Oh, sorry.
Because, no, it's not sorry,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Bill Burr and I have had these
Okay.
conversations, and
I'll tell one or two Boston stories. Now,
it was an amazing place.
I think I touched on this on your podcast, but I really rarely talk about it. But I don't drink, I don't take drugs, but I don't tell people about it. But I just did.
Right.
But I haven't since I was 19 years old. So this story is that long ago. I started doing comedy when I was 15. I got on Letterman when I was 20. So this is like a story when I'm 18. With I'll say it was Lenny Clark and all those guys, and we boarded up the doors and the windows at the Ding Ho with cardboard, right? And we're just drinking and doing piles of blow, and all night, and then the door opens and it's like smoky and backlit because the sunlight's pouring in, and it's a bunch of cops come walking in, and I'm just high and gacked out of my mind, and I'm going to jail. I'm going to jail. That's all I'm thinking. And the cops go, Lenny, you fucking cocksucker, how are you? And they sit down and they start doing blow. And I'm
no.
Yeah. And I'm like, there's
no God.
Yeah. Up is down. You know, it was a Chinese comedy club, and we would
Ding Ho.
We would cut lines on the ribs. You know, the pork ribs?
Yeah.
We'd be in the freezer chopping lines on those orange pork ribs, the ribs, the red ones, you know what I'm talking?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
You would do lines on those?
Yeah, because it'd be a flat surface. And then I'm just thinking like these families that get served up this...
Oh, my God. Blow-covered
pork ribs.
Pork ribs?
And Junior's bouncing off the walls. Whenever we go to the Ding Ho, he's so animated.
Now, this was like in the 80s. Did you guys get real Coke back then, or was it all chopped up still?
I think we were getting high, yeah. I mean,
No, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know the difference. I mean,
I've never done Coke. So,
oh, really? Well, I did it, and then and like I said, I stopped everything when I was 19. I know people don't believe that.
The folks who do it, though, will tell you there's like Rockstar Coke, like pure Coke,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And then there's like, Tom Sawyer from Cobb's?
Sure.
Yeah. Tom will tell you, like, if you talk to him about old school, like Rockstar Coke.
Well,
like,
I've talked to some of the Boston comics who are like, I didn't quit because I got sober. I quit because the shit got bad, the Coke got bad. Like they were disappointed in the quality of the blow.
Well,
I wasn't getting fucking high anymore.
Apparently, it's a very different experience.
Oh,
if
really?
you get like real cocaine, 100% pure cocaine, it's a very different experience than what a lot of people are getting is speed. You're getting like Coke mixed with some sort of amphetamine.
No, because I had done speed and it didn't affect me the way the Coke did. So that's my Pepsi challenge. I guess it's just very scientific.
I don't know. They cut it with things. I don't know what they're cutting it with.
Baby laxative and vitamin B is
that's a big one with ecstasy.
They cut it with
They cut it with speed. Apparently,
speed.
Sometimes you don't get all pure X. You get a bunch of funky amphetamines in there.
Wow. So what we're trying to say to the kids:
don't do bad Coke.
Know who you're. Yeah,
So you guys were doing it with the cops.
With the cops. I mean, there would always be stories like that. You know, guys. Guy would steal some guy's joke, and then somebody's arm would get broke. I mean, it was not. I mean, it really. That's the reality of it.
Well, Dane Cook was on the podcast once. He and I were talking about how the guys who were doing comedy were men. Like Kevin Knox and Lenny Clark, these big men, these like manly,
and it was a very
Sweeney.
It was just like very aggressive.
Oh
very,
yeah.
It wasn't like
Don Gavin.
Like people going, "Oh, you're in Cambridge," and they're imagining that we're got pipes and we got patches on our sweaters, like
Yeah, you're coming out with like one of those those suede jackets with the Indian things, tassels.
Well, I was
dangling.
more like an overstepped chair with, and we're sitting there talking about Noel Coward references and stuff, But no, it was pretty down and dirty, and but it was the best place to train. I mean, because you were ready for the heckles were insane, the violence, and it really is weird to think about how much comedy and violence was in that scene.
It was a crazy scene.
It was. I'll try to keep some of the people out of this story, but one of the guys I was with one night, when someone's partying and the switch is thrown and they become Gorgo, you know what I mean? Like they're just not themselves completely, you know what I mean? And one of our buddies insisted that he and I were Vikings, and he was really the commitment he had to this character was he was a Viking, and he was holding me in a headlock, and he wouldn't let me go, and to the point where it got creepy. Like he was just dragging me around the bar. It was funny, and then it went for a long time. Like I was, and I couldn't do anything. He was much larger than me. And then Barry Crimmins, I remember at the time, had a cast. And the guy who had me in a headlock, who, by the way, is a friend. He just had a rough night that night. He says, Crimmins goes, let him go. And the guy goes, hug me or hit me. And Crimmins goes, that was the fastest decision I ever made in my life. And he just popped him with the cast and broke his jaw.
That's hilarious.
So that's comedy. Yeah, it was crazy. It was mayhem. It really was.
I came just behind you guys, and one of my big regrets was that I never got to perform with the Ding Ho because it was so legendary.
Yeah, well, it was because the comics were in charge, basically. The booking and the all that stuff. So it was crazy.
Well, that's sort of how the Comedy Store used to be, except for the booking aspect of it. The comics were never in charge of the booking of it, but there was no real crowd control. It was all comics working the booth. Comics would work at the door. The Comedy Store was like, it's all comics working.
Well, this was pretty much mayhem. This guy Shun Lee, he ran the Ding Ho, and he talked to me maybe twice. One night I go out on stage and I'm doing my character and I'm full bore, right? And then I stop and I say, hi, this is my real voice. I'd like to gut and clean some fish tonight. Does anyone have any fish? Really straight, I'm saying this. And my roommate raises his hand. He pulls out this big fish. Now, the fish had been in the trunk of his car, so it was rancid.
No.
So I just gut the fish and gut entrails, fish entrails all over the stage. And this woman just contact vomited. As soon as she smelled it, just like, So I'm a professional. I put the mic right down to her so you could hear her retching over the PA.
Jesus.
So this chick's puking up. There's fish gut, vomit all over the front of the stage. And then I go, well, thank you, good night. And so the next guy, was Bill Campbell around when you were around? This guy, a really sweet guy, but his act is, talking about, relationships. Men go to,
Yeah.
It's just guts and fish. And he goes, so his act is destroyed because of this kind of stuff. Very nice, wholesome kind of act. And then I did this. And then Shun Lee, there's only first time he talked to me, he pulls me over to talk to him. He goes, Bobby, you weird. You weird. That's all he said, Bobby, you weird.
Wow, what a great boss.
Yeah, that was, it was like,
weird.
I still did this, second show. Don't do the fish,
Don't do the fish.
No more fish.
That is hilarious.
But yeah, so it was.
What year did the Ding Ho end?
I don't know. I was gone by the time it met its demise. But
when did you bail? When were you out of Boston?
I went to San Francisco. It was all pretty quick. I got on Letterman, and then it was in the early '80s. I can't. Really, I was half in and half out of the different cities, San Francisco and Boston. So it was like '82, maybe '83.
I started in '88.
Oh, wow. So it was way after.
Yeah. The Boston comedy scene, when did it really start? When was like the birth of it?
It was before I got there, and I got there at the the end of 80 probably.
Did you see Franz Alameda's documentary?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
I'm a little bit in that. Yeah. It taps some of it, but there's still...
Yeah.
There's still stuff that was... he did a great job.
But it wasn't raw dog.
Well, there's just some things in there that, Well, the one thing is funny is that I watched that movie with Lenny Clark, and part of the story is that these guys don't like me because I get on Letterman, And that was true. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
And they got really mad because I'm, I don't know, younger than them. I come in from Syracuse. I get on Letterman, probably in a year or so.
Right.
I would have been pissed, too. But, Lenny would be, and Lenny and I are friends, actually. We're going to do a project together. But at the time, Lenny was really pissed. He was like, he's throwing me into a wall. What the fuck is it's not your turn.
That's what is that? That was a thing with that place. It's like they felt, it was almost like a union gig. It's like you didn't put in your seniority.
Yeah. So that became part of that movie. But, I sat there and watched it with Lenny, and we just kind of laughed together, and I watched it with my daughter, too. It was really great for my daughter. It was really cool to have her watch that.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a pretty good experience. I'll tell a good story on if you don't mind.
Yeah,
we
please.
gotta go about my daughter. So, my daughter is a costumer. She works in commercials and movies and stuff, and I'm very proud because she's taking a creative life and she does great work. We work together, and my wife and I, we all work, and everybody works when I make a movie. All my friends and family. So, but I get this text from my daughter. She was working on that project, and it says, "Dad." Maybe I shouldn't say this one. Oh, I'm gonna fuck it. I'm in the middle of it. So she says, Dad, I have a disaster. She says the text. She goes, I have diarrhea, and I went into Russell Brand's dressing room, and I'm using his toilet, and he doesn't know I'm in here, and he just came back in.
And she's trapped in the
Yeah,
bathroom.
and I have to go back to the set.
Oh my goodness.
She says, "What do? I go, make him feel uncomfortable. Just open the door and go, hi, Russell Brand. I had to change my tampon, Shark Week." and so my daughter texts back, Dad, you're great. I love you. Now,
that's
now,
awesome.
she thinks I'm trying to help her out of an uncomfortable situation, but really I'm going, what could I have her say so Russell Brand won't try to fuck her?
That's hilarious.
So,
That's exactly what you would think.
because of course I'm going.
Of
I'm
course.
going. This is bad. This is bad.
Yeah, in the bathroom.
She thinks I'm being cute.
What if he hypnotizes her?
Yeah, I mean, and that's his thing, And then I'm like, and then I go, what happened? And he goes, she was nothing. And I'm like, my feelings are hurt too. I'm like, well, he didn't try. Yeah. Which makes me a creep. But I don't know. It was weird.
What was the motivation for making this Bigfoot movie? Because this is like
It's,
completely for me. I mean, I found out
Yeah.
about this like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And when
And also, folks, if they're familiar, a lot of folks don't make movies, but it's completely different than like World's Greatest Dad or God Bless America.
Shakes the Clown.
It's a lot different than Shakes the
Shakes
Clown.
the Clown was fucking great.
Oh, thanks, man.
That's a fucking great movie.
Tom Kenny and I, whose name drop is now the voice of SpongeBob, is Binky the Clown in that movie, and he's again cocaine. He's doing
San Francisco stand-up.
But I've known Tommy
Right?
since I was 6. We were introduced by a crying nun at St. Matthew's. Well, we weren't introduced. Tommy tells the story better, but he says this fat kid's dragged behind this nun who's just sobbing, and she drags me into his classroom and goes, because we were in 2 different first grades, and she's like, I can't take him anymore, and she left me in this class, and I felt horrible. I was so embarrassed. I started crying too, but he thought it was cool that I could make a nun cry, so he introduced himself at lunch. So
that's hilarious.
We've been now, we're both. I'm 51. He'll be 51 in July. But I've known Tom Kenny. He's Binky the Clown. Him and I were watching a Shakes. They showed Shakes, and people recently, and people showed up as characters, and they know the dialogue, and there's clown whores there. These women were dressed as slutty clowns, and in the middle of it, Tommy leans over to me and he goes, what the fuck were we thinking? He's like, we're going, what is this movie about? And the crowd was really eating it up. It was like that Shatner sketch on SNL. We were like, get a life. We were really wigged out by the. But, if you make a movie, you better be willing to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Because even my small indie films that I do under the radar and they play festivals, you're going to talk about them for the rest of your life. So you better kind of stand by it. And that's part of this movie was that I've always been fascinated with Bigfoot. I've always been super interested in the Patterson-Gimlin footage, and so I it wasn't that long ago. The 09, she's like saying, she knows me. She goes, go to your Bigfoot. So I put about 1,400 miles on the car, just in California, just driving around famous sites, talking to different people until I made it all the way up to Willow Creek,
And so you did this just to sort of form the idea in your head?
Yeah, well, I didn't have a movie. I had a different movie in my head, which I still think I'll write because I thought it. One of the things that's fascinating about Sasquatch is it's a good. Everybody. I wanted to do a thing that kind of this isn't this movie, but I had an idea for a movie that kind of took on faith and religion and everything, and I thought maybe I'd set it in the Sasquatch community because there's people that just believe, and there's people that believe and see, there's people that are shysters, there's people. I mean, so it's a really good, it's a good analogy for religion, but I don't know where you sit on the pointy head or less pointy headed Bigfoot.
Isn't that funny that you brought that up?
Yeah,
That's funny.
Because I saw this guy go over to another guy at a conference, and the guy's got a cardboard head with a big pointy-headed Bigfoot, and the guy goes, "You disgust me." And he goes, "What?"
Really?
He goes, "Look at that head."
He said, "You disgust
Yeah,
me."
and
Look
the
at that,
other
like
dude-
he knows.
Yeah, and the other dude goes, "Really? I've seen Bigfoot 3 times, and you're never gonna see him because you smoke."
Whoa!
And I was
Said
like-
that to him.
Yeah, and I was like going,
That's pretty gangster.
yeah, and I also said, "Wow, this is beautiful. You know, this is really amazing." It's like so subcultures are fascinating to me. I love the fact that you can get into discussions and go down these crazy rabbit holes with everybody, and I do. You know, here's the thing: when you say you believe, that means people say you're no longer impartial.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody has, you know. So I'm not impartial. I do believe that there's a Sasquatch out there.
Wow.
Or I should say Bigfoot, plural.
You went there. You said, "I believe there's a Sasquatch."
Yeah, I mean, hey, look at my career. What is going to happen? You know, when people can say Bobcat Goldthwait's weird. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo.
That is one of those subjects, though, where it's like UFOs or psychics or something along those lines. As soon as you start talking about it, you're almost immediately a silly person.
Yeah, but I'm already a silly person.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so far off the radar. I do what
It's
I
free,
like
right?
to.
It's freedom.
Yeah, it's completely. You
Yeah.
know, about 7-8 years ago, I really just kind of quit. I stopped being in stuff that I was embarrassed of. I stopped, you know, I still do something if it's nice and the bread's there, but for the most part, I just quit. You know, I stopped trying to get jobs. I didn't want to get discovered. I stopped writing movies for other people that I wasn't getting paid for, that I thought they would like, or I stopped all of it. And I was fortunately enough, Jimmy Kimmel hired me to direct his show, and that's a big deal. That's a huge deal because, you know, I mean, people.
We did the Spell Show a little bit as
I
well.
did a little Chappelle.
We ran into each other in,
Oh yeah,
in
that was
Manhattan.
weird. That was
Yeah.
weird on the street. Yeah,
Yeah, totally random.
And so I worked on Chappelle, but working for Jimmy, you know, it kind of just gave me this freedom. It was nice that someone believed in me, you know, when pretty much I'd become, and still am possibly, but
We talked
punchline.
about it before the podcast during the commercials. The thing with the Tonight Show, that was the big thing.
Yeah,
where you
well, there's
lit
that,
the
and also
chair
just-
on fire.
And just this persona people had an assload of, and just, you know, and I didn't even, you know, I got really frustrated because I was just being famous for being famous, and this is before the, you know, the digital age. I just got really tired of being like, you would book me on a talk show, I would go crazy, and people would be happy, and I really was just like so over it, really destructive, you know.
Were you like rebelling against like the Police Academy movies and that sort of
Well, if we get really
box that you were
deep
put
about it,
into?
it's that, but also it's rebelling. Truly, I think the real thing is that I was, you know, Leno was nice enough to have me on, and then I saw this pattern that I may have become a regular, and I've never really discussed this. That terrified me. The idea of being successful on that level. Because it's easier to be a guy who never tried, and then you're in some dopey teen comedies, and you can criticize what everybody else does and be bitter. But to really put, you know, your cock on the block and say, this is who I am, this is going to be my material, or this is the movies, or this is the products that say who I am, that's terrifying, because then you're out there to be judged.
That's fascinating. So it's almost like you had a self-destructive quality because
Completely.
the idea of success was just too much
Terrifying,
pressure.
because then I'd have to
Yeah.
actually pony up and actually, oh, so you've been criticizing X, Y, and Z? Well, what do you do? You know? So I was really trying to not. It was kind of funny because I was trying not to be on TV anymore, and I set the Tonight Show on fire, and then immediately I get booked on every show. People think like I was banned from other shows. I wasn't even banned from the Tonight Show. They actually had me on a week later. But it's very fascinating. It's funny. I was just writing this thing. You know, I toured with Nirvana as a comedian. And there would be times where, you know, it was a few nights where I was sitting up with Kurt, and, you know, we were exchanging stories, like, you know, him showing up in drag in a gown for a headbanger's ball, and nobody getting that. You know, that's pretty funny. Especially it was funny to him because he's getting asked to go on a metal show, so he thought it'd be funny to show up in drag, and everybody's like going, "This guy, what a you know," and especially because he wasn't running around in lipstick going, "Wah!" You know, he
Right.
just was comfortable in the drag. So it was, you know, and he's talking about how nobody would get him, you know, and it was
Right.
really funny. And then I said, you know, like I'd smashed up the Arsenio Hall show, did way more damage on that show.
I remember that too.
Yeah, I wrote Paramount sucks on the back of it because they had fired him basically, and they gave him a raw deal. And it was just me trying to end it. You know, I really related more to rock than comics. I just kind of kaboo, you know. I tried to, and then
Were you upset though that you were like? Did you feel like you were getting pushed into some like family box and it wasn't representing you like as a real visionary, as a real comic?
A little of that, you know. It's funny, people. You know, I think the character would cloud people from hearing anything I was saying. You know,
I loved Meet Bob. Meet Bob.
Thanks, man.
I got it when I was
cool.
like, I mean, when did it come out?
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah,
I was just starting out.
That's funny because that album, like people don't. I don't think people understood that I actually had material. I think they just saw me in Police Academy and stuff.
Well, that was what I was going to say.
That was frustrating.
It was really good comedy. It was really good stand up, and I think a lot of people. I remember just thought you were like that crazy actor guy.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people didn't know. Like you didn't just have stand up, you had like really smart stand up.
Well,
it
thanks,
was really
man.
good stuff.
But it was weird because I think I helped perpetuate it. Of course, I possibly, you know, it's kind of funny when you go on stage and you do this persona, even people who are rolling their eyes start laughing. So it's hard to jettison it, especially when you go on the road and they're expecting it.
It's weird to get pigeonholed. You know?
I just stopped. I was on the road and I realized, oh, I don't dislike stand-up. I hate this fucking character.
Did people totally expect it?
Oh yeah, and they, you know, still do. You know, do the voice, you know, and they get mad, you know. But it's just I gotta be me, you know, as corny as it sounds, you know.
I feel you. Yeah.
So, but you gotta quit. You know, you gotta like. There's this weird thing in our society where it's like, you know, you can't quit, and that's where you find when you're happy. You know, you say, oh, this isn't working for me. You know, I thought, oh, this isn't working for me. And so you end up in a place where you go, oh, this is what's working for you. Unfortunately, you end up there usually about 45.
Well, there's a lot of people that they never abandon that act, and they hang on to it. Like, does Judy Tenuta still do stand up?
I don't know.
She had a great act.
It's funny that my wife and I brought up the 09 and I brought up Judy Tenuta today on the plane because I did the Gathering of the Juggalos.
Oh wow!
And we were wondering if they booked the wrong acts on purpose, so we were like putting together a lineup like it was going to be Paula Poundstone, Judy Tenuta, and Amy Mann at this year's Gathering of the Juggalos. You know,
Amy Mann.
You know, because I think that sometimes did you ever see the
Gathering? Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh,
I've
you
seen
saw
when they
that
had public
movie.
sex. What do you mean, Gathering the Juggalos?
There's a movie called American Juggalo, I think is the name of it.
No, I've just watched clips on the internet where they just have.
You saw Tio Tequila get hit with poo.
Did she really?
Yeah,
they
man.
Threw poo at her?
They ran out of Faygo Cola, so they started throwing poo at her.
Oh my God! Like dudes were shitting in what cups?
No,
and
they
stuff?
knocked
over a porta potty.
Yeah. It wasn't like
Oh
Gigi
my
Allen.
God,
They
so it was
actually
someone else's poo.
Yeah, that's my point. Look, I'm gonna digress here, but
that's her on stage, and they're throwing poo at her right now.
Like hypothetically, let's say you or I give it up. Look, she stays in there.
Them.
She stays up there.
Oh Jesus, that shit just hit her legs.
I love that she's like sitting there going, you know what? Couple more minutes, I'm gonna win her back. Look, she just threw. Look at that. You gotta give it up.
She grabbed her crotch.
She
and they're
just
still
threw stuff
throwing
back.
shit at her. Is that all shit, or is it some of the beer?
I think no, it's Faygo Cola. It's the soda they like to throw. But like here's my point. If you were walking down the street and you hit me with dog poo. Right, like you saw something through it. It wouldn't be a deal breaker, but I'd be mad. I'd be like, Joe, what the fuck was that? And you go, I don't know. I thought it was funny. Yeah, we'd laugh it off.
No,
but if you hit me with like, you know, like hobo dude, you know what I mean, like some poo from a person, that would be the deal breaker. I'd be like, you fucker, I've got Hep C in my eye now, really swift.
Yeah, human shit is way more terrifying than animal shit.
Did you ever see Gigi Allen like poo?
Yeah.
And then he starts throwing it at people, and they get out of their way like military strafing. Like when people fire, something about human poo is way worse.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
You don't want it on your clothes.
No.
Yeah,
So
if
I
you
did
got dog shit on you. You just hose it off.
You go
Yeah.
But I did the Gathering of the Juggalos and
Wow.
The opening act, Upchuck, the clown, is trying to calm my nerves. Now there's no, you know, they're their own security, so there's no security. It's just it's just Juggalo law on this huge piece of property.
Wow.
So
it's just madness.
yeah, there's fires going on and fireworks.
Oh my God.
People are always lighting fire too, like fireworks, like the way people light cigarettes, like casually. I saw a lot of that. It was really funny,
Oh my
like
God.
where people don't jump out of the way. It's like some bath salts. And
What is it like for you wandering around amongst these people? Are they freaking out?
No, because I think. Well, they. No, they. Sometimes I get recognized. For the most part, I don't get recognized. But it was, you know. We took a golf cart through the whole thing, and like I said, there's fights and people. I don't know what they were doing, but maybe you might know what this is. But suddenly people would drop, like there'd be like a group of people, and then you just see them drop, like they were puppets, and someone cut their strings. They just hit them.
Like
and,
is it
and
like
then
a choreographed thing? Like they're joking around?
No. Like whatever they had been doing would just suddenly.
Like a bunch of them would just drop?
Yeah, it'd be like 3 or 4 of them. Obviously, they had just ingested or did something, and then all of a sudden you see them go dun, 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 like dominoes. And then they
What
get
the
up,
fuck?
and it was, I don't know what that is.
Oh my, whatever it is not good.
Yeah, well, so you know, it's. I understand the idea of the Juggalos. By the way, I get it. You know, I get it. It's a certain sect that's pissed off, and it's a certain group of people, and they do have the sense of community and family. I do try to be open-minded, and by the way, they were very nice to me. I should say that.
That's a very good way of putting that.
But while we were there, you know, Upchuck's trying to convince me that it's not that scary of a gig, and he's driving me around on this golf cart, and he's like, you know, you gotta, and this huge clown, just everybody's kind of either. Some guys are cut in clown makeup, but a lot of them are like obese, you know, men and women. It's really like an incest survivors convention. Like, you know, nobody's going to touch me anymore, you know. So,
right.
So this guy just jumps out of nowhere and starts punching Upchuck on the golf cart. He's running along and hitting him.
For no reason?
He's like, fuck you, Upchuck.
Oh, my God. Fuck you, Upchuck, specifically.
Yeah, and he's gunning it. And the guy, so we lose the guy, and he's like, I'm here every year, you know, they know me. I'm like family, and I'm like, okay. So then
he punched him in the face.
Punched him right in the face, and then he took it like in the shoulder, and then by the time we got him, he got him like one like in the kidney on the way out, like a left.
He's hitting him hard.
Yeah, real punches.
Jesus.
So now his clown makeup was a little smudgy too. So he's trying to convince me this can of Faygo. The first can of Faygo comes in, poof, and it just sprays all over us, and he's like he's so familiar with getting hit with Faygo Cola. He goes, it's diet. It's not gonna stain. I swear to God, he really said that.
That's hilarious.
So then one comes in, and the 09's got it on camera. She had a sports setting on her camera, so the shutter's like faster. So we've got this shot. It's like the Zapruder film. We got this can of soda. This guy does a baseball pitch, and you see it whizzing seconds before it hits Upchuck right in the temple.
No.
Carack. And he just slumps over, and he goes, he slumps over the wheel, and he goes, I'm hurt bad. By the way, he's mid-sentence. He goes, you know, something like that when the soda hit. Is that going to happen out of Dave Matthews? Carack! And he slumps over, and he's like, I'm hurt bad, Bob. He's calling me Bob, so I know he's really fucked up, not Bobcat. and I think he was out for a second.
Oh, my God.
So he hits the gas, and now, that's Upchuck. Yeah, that's Joel. And that was like the golf cart I was on. That's crazy. So
how old were you when this was going on, by the way?
This was just now.
So
this was
51 years old. 50 years old.
50 years old. And so Upchuck is now full throttle, and I'm steering. Steer! And we're whizzing through the crowd like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. And it's Juggalos diving out of our way. So I love this. This is actually beautiful. You know, he was concussed. His eyes were all fucked up, and he's like,
God.
And he's like, and we just went back to the trailer, and we're just being really quiet. And then he puts an ice cold Faygo on his side of his head.
Oh, that's hilarious.
For the swelling, because he's going, look. He's like, am I bleeding? I go, I don't know where the makeup starts and what's blood. I don't know what's right. His head just swelled up.
A fucking can of soda to the head. That's hard.
And then I'm not going to he may or may not. It looked like he was doing some sort of stimulant after that too, because it's
No, were you worried about your safety while this was all happening?
Yeah. I once I got in, and by the way, I'm no stranger to hijinks.
Says the man who lit the Tonight Show couch on fire.
My wife says I have good ideas and bad ideas, and I don't know the difference. It's just ideas, and I treat them with enthusiasm. I may or may not have lit a quarter stick of dynamite in my backyard when I lived up in I think it was a half a stick. It was like
half a stick?
Yeah, and it blew up this watermelon that shot all the way like 3 floors up. It was that story goes and gets kind of gory, but I digress. So I'm no stranger. So like something explodes and my wife goes, "Is that an M80?" And I'm like, "No, that's dynamite."
Wow.
So I go up and I'm like, "Hey, where's my party people at?" No, I actually did a fine set. There, by the way, crowd was 1 o'clock. I hit the stage. They like the tenacity. If you can actually hang, they're there. And my oldest brother was a biker, so I'm kind of familiar with kind of outlaw behavior. It's never that freaky to me.
And it seems like it's sort of an agreed upon thing at this sort of a place. If you're gonna hang out with a bunch of people that are partying, they're calling themselves the Juggalos. Some soda's gonna fly through the air. It's gonna be some craziness.
Right. You can't get mad about soda,
but up to the point of violence.
But the problem is if there's no law.
Right.
It's a little Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
Like some dude, they thought he was stealing, so they physically. I don't know what happened to him, but they tore his car apart, like just dismantled it.
Whoa.
Yeah, so it's a little Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, I mean,
I got paid in a plastic trash bag full of 20s.
Really? That's actually kind of badass.
Yeah, and then the cops are just at the lip, just taking people to jail. They had a bus, so we pull out.
Right.
And the cops are going, "What's going on?" I go, "Look, I got a bag full of money. My name's Bobcat Goldthwait. I'm a comedian. I was big in the 80s." And they're like, yeah. Okay. Nothing weird. You guys, whatever you want to do. I'm completely straight. And they actually found that really funny.
That is funny. So they were looking for people to be drunk driving.
And then they open up my bag of money and they're like, "I should do comedy." And they're all busting my chops, but yeah.
Were they looking for drunk drivers or?
Oh, just
drugs,
people high
everything?
out of their minds, anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just popping everybody that pulled out of the street there.
I like what you said about about it being like a community, and there's a lot
Right.
of positive things to that.
There is. So I mean, like I tell this story and I laugh and stuff, but was it any different than when I went to see the Allman Brothers with my brother Tommy and he was tripping on acid and
Right.
his brother his
this-
brother biker who's still alive, Big Mitch, who was a Green Beret, and we're going to see the Allman Brothers, and he suddenly thinks everybody going into the concert is Charlie.
Oh my god!
It was the best ever.
What year was this?
Probably like 78.
Oh my god!
And I'm just like going, sometimes when things go crazy, that's the other thing about me. During mayhem and chaos, I'm actually super calm.
It's because you've been around it so many times.
No, but like everyday life will flip me out. Like we were talking earlier, the line in the post office I can't handle correctly. I get upset and stuff. But mayhem, I get really calm.
Really?
Yeah, like a deer jumped out in front of us when we were up in Willow Creek, and I just said to my wife, I go, "Just stop the car." Like she goes, "What do you think I'm doing?" I get all zen, daddy. I don't know. That's pretty funny.
That's better than the other way.
Yeah.
But the I know what you're talking about freaking out about lines and stuff like that. If you can't just stand still and relax, like in a line, and then they're nice and slow. It's probably like an ADHD thing, right?
Well,
when people are actually really freaking out.
Well, it's the the 09 calls me a misanthrope, and I think that is not correct, because I think what upsets me is I actually kind of have, I try to think the best. I really do, even though I make movies where I'm shooting people and and all these weird things. I do kind of give people the benefit of the doubt. I truly do. When she said that, she goes, "You're a misanthrope," and I said, "You only say that because you're a person." And she's always afraid that I'm going off the grid because at night she calls it my lake porn. Like she comes in and she's like, "What are you looking at?" And it's just me looking at look at this 80 acres.
On a lake?
Yeah, it's got its own creek.
Are you looking at like houses?
I'm gonna get the generator going.
Oh yeah, go off the grid, dude. You and me. I think about that shit all the time.
Go off the grid.
Yeah.
Just squatch all day.
Just squatching. Just set up a few gifting boxes.
Now you went squatching.
Yeah, I went for this new show I'm doing.
Did you start it?
Yeah, the show started. It starts airing July 16th on the Sci-Fi Channel. It's called Joe Rogan Questions Everything, and one of them is Bigfoot. And I've had a Bigfoot fascination since I was a little kid. When I was a little kid, I was camping in the Pacific Northwest with my stepdad, and there's a dude who was up there who was a trapper, and he had like these animal skins and shit. He was killing animals like bobcats, which I didn't think was kind of creepy at the time.
I think that's really creepy.
Well, I was only 7.
No, I meant me.
Yeah. But and he told me about that all these people have had these Bigfoot experiences up there, and the way he was describing it, I barely remember. It's like a really whispery memory. But I remember that's what started me off on. Then I was always into monsters and shit when I was a little kid. I loved horror movies. So then I started like reading up on Bigfoot, and then I watched the Patterson footage. Eventually, I saw In Search of Bigfoot.
In Search of is the one that
Nimoy.
turns everybody around. In Search of. Did you see Boggy Creek? Because that was
I saw it.
So that I think that had Boggy Creek. I didn't go back and revisit it, but I think that movie probably had a lot to do with my movie Willow Creek. Actually.
Well, then I got addicted to that show, Finding Bigfoot, too. Have you watched that at all?
Sure. Actually, Cliff and Bobo showed up. I showed the movie up. I went back up. I showed it to the folks that are in it because a lot of actual folks from the Bigfoot community are in the movie. I mean, and how can we sell this movie? I mean, I'm just starting
without
to play.
saying anything about it.
Well, I've just started playing festivals. The thing that I'm really happy is Bigfoot folks seem to really like it. Like Cliff said, this is the best Bigfoot movie he's ever seen.
Listen, this is a great horror fun movie. It's a great fun movie.
Yeah,
but
I stay really true to Bigfoot.
I
don't.
Yes.
I try not to be cheesy and.
No,
I didn't want those guys to.
I don't want to talk too much about this movie because I don't want to give any of it away because I want people to see it. It's
you or me? I think it's.
That's me.
Oh, can I tell you one quick story?
Yeah, sure.
I'm having a blast. Thanks for having me.
Oh, please. Thanks for being on. I'm having a blast, too.
So you've got that American Werewolf in London. Which I love that movie.
Yeah, me too.
So that blew my mind when I saw it. Now, where did you get that? Is that from?
There's a guy named Pat McGee. He's a special effects guy, and he designs, if you go to McGeeFX.com, he designs a couple different things, like he does an Alien, like from the movie Alien, and he just reconstructs life-size replicas.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's really awesome.
Got a mold, and he uses yak hair, and it's incredible.
Well,
detail.
one of the many, I don't know if you ever heard this myth, but one of the many myths about the Patterson Gimlin footage is that it's John Landis in the suit. Have you ever heard that?
No, I haven't heard that.
Okay, so I've heard this, and I thought, and so one morning, I love American Werewolf. I love John Animal House and all that stuff. I mean, that was
me too.
John Landis is
of course
brilliant. So, but I don't know him. So I get a hair up my ass, and I'm like, I got to get to the bottom of this. So I shoot my agent an email, and I say, got this idea for a TV show for John Landis. Myself, total lie. I said, can you get me his email? And so she gets me his email. So I write him an email, and I'm going to read it to you because so he and I had this exchange. And I say, hi, John. I'm writing an article about the Patterson Gimlin footage. I'm not. I was just lying. So thank God he's a nice guy. And was wondering, would you be kind enough to let me interview? Okay, so I go on, and I say, I want to clear up the rumors that John Chambers made the suit and that you were wearing it. So quickly I get this email back. Dear Bobcat, I am definitely not the guy in the Bigfoot suit in the Patterson Gimlin footage. What publication are you writing an article for? How did you get my email address?
That's funny.
But I sent him back, and we went back and forth, and he was really cool. Actually, I think he's probably tired of answering that question.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure.
One of his early, he did a great movie. It's called Schlock, where he's in a gorilla suit. You've probably seen it. There's like a gorilla with a space helmet on.
No.
And it's a kind of famous image, and it's him directing the movie. I love it in the gorilla suit with the space helmet.
Really?
Yeah, because I got a great. I love this. There's a photo of me directing Shakes the Clown in a clown suit, and I'll never be in something I direct again, you know. And I'm like fucking, you know, I'm like dead serious, and everyone's laughing, and I look like such an asshole with no sense of humor in a fucking clown suit.
So it's called Schlock?
Schlock, yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, let me double check. But yeah, it is called Schlock. But so I'm a big fan. I wasn't coming from Schlock. I wasn't coming from a big snarky place. I sincerely was a fan of Landis and stuff. But I thought there's a lot of Bigfoot rumors that I kind of thought, well, maybe I can use, you know, my connections. Not that I have connections, but you know, I could disprove some of the things, you know, like get into the John Chambers suit. You know, John Chambers is the guy who was in Argo who did the Planet of the Apes. You know, there's a rumor that he may have built the suit, and he did make a Bigfoot, but his Bigfoot I've seen, and it's you know, so whatever. It is a rabbit hole.
Well, it's a rabbit hole, but it's also a rabbit hole where a guy says he did it. His name's Bob Hieronymus. He walks just like that. He took a lie detector test and passed. He also was a con man. So was Robert Patterson. And Robert Patterson also went to jail for writing a bad check to pay for the very camera that filmed that footage.
Yes, and he could go even deeper, actually.
Yeah,
because
the con man.
Look, my thing about my belief in the Patterson footage, it boils down to the gait. It really does. It boils down to that knee and that leg. And
you've been listening to a bunch of knuckleheads. Trust me. That's a guy in a monkey suit. Let's play it. Let's play it. We'll go over it. It's a guy with a football pad, football shoulder pads on,
all right.
in a gorilla suit.
Explain to me this.
Okay.
I'm not confronting you.
I know.
But why? This is just this isn't like proof, but this is a weird thing. Why did they go to the trouble to give it
find
breasts?
A stabilized one. There's a stabilized one. It's better.
Why did they? Yeah, that was Abraham Zapruder who shot that too. He does one look.
There's a couple things. If you notice, I want people to pay attention when you watch this video.
But what about, why does it have breasts? That to me is the weirdest thing.
Why doesn't it have breasts? Why
but if they couldn't make a suit like that in that time, and why would they take the extra thing? There wasn't four-way stretch fabric that looked like fur at that point.
I'm not sure if that's entirely true.
You've listened to a lot of knuckleheads.
And I also think that it's ridiculous to say, why would they make... Look at that. That looks like a man in a fucking monkey suit.
You've been listening to a lot of dingbats. That's what you've been.
You wackadoo, you. Look at it move. That is a man.
That is not a man.
Not compelling to me. That looks like it's a man.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the gait looks like a dude with a big load in his pants. Like he's wearing a diaper.
No,
he's got football shoulder pads on. It's all fucked up, stupid outfit. And I think you're looking at it from, the problem is, here's the problem. I can mind fuck myself. The problem is if you play it back over again, I go, that's fucking real.
Yeah, man. Look at the calf.
I'll look at his ass. Back it up a little bit. Let's watch it again.
Just look up calf.
I'm going to try to mind fuck myself now. Here, I'm going to mind fuck myself. Ready? Oh my God, I think it's real. Let's see if I can mind fuck myself.
When it goes back and forth like that, that's only, you got to play yakety sax.
Look at that.
Benny Hill comes out and slaps.
Look at it walk. Let's zoom and stabilize on the Bigfoot. It's a kind of monkey suit. I wish I could mind fuck myself, but I can't. I try, but it looks so stupid.
I think it's so funny to you that
it's like he's got slightly longer hands. Like he's probably got some artificial hands in the suit. And if you watch this, look up Bob Hieronymus, Bigfoot walking. There's some footage of him
I am fascinated
split screen with Bob Hieronymus walking on one side of the screen and the Sasquatch. And goddamn it, Bob Hieronymus was a big, gangly Sasquatch-looking motherfucker.
Let's take a look.
And he passed the lie detector test.
Yeah, but that's not valid.
Yeah, but I mean, when the guy walks like a duck and quacks like a duck.
He told the story so many times he started believing it.
It's possible. He might have O.J. Simpson the whole thing.
I think you can do that to yourself.
I believe it 100%. 100%.
You believe what? That you can convince yourself?
Sure. My memory of my childhood is so goddamn foggy. You know,
right.
I could go one way or another way and start telling a story about it one way, and then by the time I get 10 years down the line, I don't even fucking remember what really happened.
Your childhood is so bananas. Now, do you spend time trying to piece it together, or do you move past it?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's pretty nuts, the moving around, and I've heard you talk about it in the past. But
The moving around was nuts, but the really nutty thing was the martial arts. Competing in martial arts tournaments throughout my high school years, that was the nuttiest thing. Because I was a child and I was having martial arts competitions against grown men.
Wow.
Like my my instructor was crazy, and he made me fight grown men when I was 15. So like from the time when I was 15 till I was 21, all I did was full contact martial arts tournaments. That was way scarier than anything. It was almost like I was so scared of growing up, and I was so scared of being an adult, and I was so scared of just interacting with people and fitting in any place because I was always the new kid and always moving. I was so scared of fitting in that I just decided to do something way harder than that. So I didn't have to think about that. I tried to do the most obscure, crazy, scary thing to me.
Well, why did... It's really weird. It's kind of sad to hear this, too.
No, it's not sad. It worked out great.
Well,
It was
but...
sad as if I had to go back and be myself as a child. It was often sad as a child, but ultimately it worked out. You know, I mean, it's not sad to go through tough experiences and develop character. I don't think that's sad. You know, I mean, I came out. There's a lot of people who came out a lot worse than me. Like it was fine.
But when did the comedy come about? That's the part.
The comedy came about from gallows humor, from going to tournaments. I used to make my friends laugh in the locker room. I would make my friends laugh like on buses and planes and shit. I would be the guy who was like trying to crack the ice because we were all terrified, and I wasn't insecure around them. Yeah. Like the guys that I trained with, it was probably the first time in my life I felt confident enough to like talk out about things and say and make joke about things and not get told to shut the fuck up or someone's gonna kick my ass or that's what a lot of moving from town to town when you're the new kid. It's like you always have to defend yourself. You're always dealing with the local bully and it's like it was a constant thing. So when I started doing martial arts, like these guys all knew me, so I was comfortable around them. So then I would make fun of shit to sort of lighten the tension because everybody was scared. Because when you go to tournaments, it was just fear. The bus was filled with fear, and everyone's scared.
So weird.
Weighing in is scary, and then every now and then one of us would get knocked the fuck out. You get head kicked, and you deal with your friend just got concussed in the thing that you do for zero money.
And you go back in the bus.
Go back in the bus. He got ice pack on his head.
Oh my God.
Black eyes and shit. It was
and
common.
the parents are around? You call the family?
No, they were all adults. I was the only child.
Wow.
Yeah, until, some kids came along when I was like 19 and 20. There were some kids that joined up that was like 17 and 18. But for the longest time, I was really young.
Did you have any social life? Did you have
Zero. No partying, no drinking,
wow.
no nothing. I had a couple friends from high school, and my best friends actually went to the school that was the other school.
And what about women? Did you have girlfriends at all?
Yeah. I had a girlfriend. Almost ruined me. My first girlfriend, because as soon as I started having sex, I just didn't want to train anymore. I was like, it was like, why would I go do that? Like, this is way more fun.
Does everybody know about this?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. I was like, this sex is way better than martial arts.
Getting my face punched in.
Yeah.
Having my nose shoved into my brain.
Yeah, it was always
all right, so we were talking about Patterson before I suddenly became a shrink on you.
I think if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Okay,
now,
so
I want you to watch this.
Yeah,
This is Bob Hieronymus walking, and then the Bigfoot. Bob looking and turning just like the Bigfoot. I mean, come on, man. Put that guy in a goddamn monkey suit.
Yeah,
it's the same
I don't think
dude.
it's a mistake that the knees aren't shown here. Honestly, I mean, if you look at the knees and the way the calf goes up.
You ever walk with ice skates on?
Yeah.
But you know how ice skates don't bend right, and when you had to pick them up and make like an exaggerated walking motion.
Right.
What the Bigfoot looks like to me is like a dude with like a suit on that's got like crazy feet on the suit, and he has to walk a certain way because they don't bend.
You know what's funny? I'm not giving away too much about the movie, but there is footprints in the movie.
Yeah.
So
you shouldn't even say that. You shouldn't have said that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, stop right now.
Oh, okay.
Make people, because there's so much about this movie that's so badass. If your movie sucked, I'd let you keep talking, but your movie's too good, so I'm gonna keep you from.
You let me shoot myself in the
foot.
foot.
Don't do it, goddammit! Don't do it.
So
I'm just
here to plug Hot to Trot tonight. Or,
it would be beautiful if a guy who's a con man just happened to be the first guy to actually see Bigfoot and film it. It would be.
Well, don't you feel that way about being a comedian? Now you went out. And where did you go?
We went to the Pacific Northwest, but we're not going to fake anything.
No. But I mean, but if you find something, they're it's Joe Rogan,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well,
that's how I feel about it. Like I'm going up to Oregon with and talking to Cliff, and we're gonna go out. But I also feel like I taint it. You know, the idea that if, you know, if we find anything,
I don't think so. I think if you're just like me, and I think your feeling about it is genuine. You know, I think it's a fascinating subject. It's very possible that it's bullshit, but it's also very possible that it's not.
Let's throw it all out and say it is fake.
Okay.
What is it about the subconscious through thousands of years that people continually see in these things? I mean, why is it, you know, and you know, Teddy Roosevelt that tells a story of a, you know, why does it keep showing up over and over?
Finish that. Teddy Roosevelt told a story in his book about a camp that he was at where a guy killed a wild man.
Yeah,
or a wild man killed a man.
And everything was destroyed. But so like all these stories that keep showing up, I'm interested too in that. Like what is it in part of our subconscious? What part of why do these archetypal characters keep showing up that happens to be a man in the woods? Could it be simply as keep your kids away from bears, or is it something bigger, or is it a 800-pound wood ape? I mean, you know, it's all fascinating.
There's so many different things to consider when you say something like that. It was like, first of all, you have to consider that it's probably a conglomeration of a bunch of things, and one of those things being that everyone's afraid of the unknown. And when you look out into that dark woods and you just say, what the fuck is out there?
Just when you said that, I started getting creeped out for the first time, by the way.
Ooh.
And I was in the woods 17 miles down a dirt road.
Ooh.
You know, 11 hours from L.A. north. Then we go to Willow Creek. Then you drive about 40 minutes to Orleans. Then you drive up this road. Then we drive 2.5 hours down a 17-mile dirt road to get to the location. So there's no phones. There's no planes going over. Saw 2 mountain lions.
Whoa.
2 mountain lions.
2.
And I put the actors in the tent in that scene, and they're going, hey, man, why are we here? Man, we could do this in a parking lot.
That's true. That's so true. But they couldn't.
No, because it was, you know.
It feels fucking real. There's nothing about. Don't say any more, goddammit.
Okay,
You already said some shit.
All right. But
motherfucker, stop talking about it.
But it is. I am happy that people like it. That it is scary. That there's laughs, and it was the most fun I had making a movie.
Going down a dark road and getting into the woods of the Pacific Northwest, it will give you this new appreciation of how ridiculously wild that area is.
Yeah.
Like the idea that we have an accurate account.
Did you get like a buzz when you start when you're around the trees?
The trees,
yeah. There is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or am I
No,
turning into
there's a feeling.
moonbeam? I mean,
well, they're energy. I mean,
man.
Trees are alive.
But the oxygen that they make, you get like this
yes.
weird buzz. I was not frightened. Everybody else was kind of frightened. And I was just like I didn't realize this about myself. I just like dropped my trowel. I'm walking around in my underwear, jumping in the river.
Is that where you want to get a lake house?
Yeah, or even I'm fine with a river now.
You're squatching. That's what you're doing. You
Yeah,
want to
man.
go up there and go squatching.
I just yeah, man. And I don't want to I'm not a prepper. I don't like that attitude. I really don't, because it's like I don't like these preppers. It's like this weird end of times or Christian Judeo BS that they're buying into. You know what I mean? The world, if we've learned anything about the world, it's not going to go out with one big bang. You know, it's just like, you know, things are going to fall apart, but it's not going to be anarchy. I don't know why so many people in every movie is about, you know, a Scientologist saving the world.
I think we've been through several of those in history. I think we're better at understanding it now because we have the written word and we have history and we have all these different stories of the past of civilizations that have deteriorated back when people didn't really have access to books and knowledge.
I think it's some weird sort of hopelessness that's just, and I don't buy it. I don't. I think human beings are so resilient, and or there is the Carlin bit, you know, maybe the Earth need plastic, you know, like.
Well, that's funny. As a species, I mean, I think that we probably will carry on, but it's really easily conceivable that some natural disaster could happen that could wipe out most of the population of Earth. All you need is one big Yucatan-sized meteor that hits.
True.
And we're done. And there's hundreds of thousands of those floating around, not like three of them.
But I'm not. I think I'm more of an optimist. I think when you just prep and decide to go underground, I want to go out in the woods because I like I like the quiet. I like the smells.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. But
It feels
everybody
good.
else with me was just completely flipped out of their minds. Like this intern. There's just a tiny crew, and he's like, hey, man, what's the difference between a Bobcat and
where did you see these mountain
and a mountain
lions?
lion? We saw two of them.
Where'd you see them?
One in Willow Creek, just walking across the street, and then one.
Were you in a car or were you driving?
We were in a car for the one, but the other one was right where we were filming. And he goes, hey, man, Bobcat and a mountain lion, what's the difference? I go, Bobcat's stocky, and, he's got like a short tail, and a mountain lion's tall, and it's got a long tail. He's like, yeah, I saw a mountain lion. And I go, where? And I'm like, this is like I'm Werner Herzog making Fitzcarraldo. I'm like out of my mind, and I go, where? And he goes, to the left. I go, to the right, fellas. Just
There's a real problem with them not allowing them to hunt mountain lions anymore.
Well, mountain lions, I found out later on, are badass.
They're scary.
Well, here's the thing: they're cats.
Yeah.
So if you run,
They chase you.
You're a 200-pound mouse. You know what I mean? It's just gonna take you down. Yeah.
Well, they go after people on bikes for that very reason. They can't help themselves.
It's a mouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you on a bike with a light as a laser pointer. And so I was like, how close were you? He goes, about 5 feet.
Oh, Jesus.
And if you've ever seen him, by the way, because the one I did see, and I have big balls, I was in a car, but the one I saw was huge. It's a lion, and they just walk, and he was walking with a purpose across the road, like I'm sure he's about to eat something.
It's a real problem. California's banned hunting of them.
Really?
And some places have banned use of dogs. You need dogs to hunt them because otherwise you'll never find
But what
them.
happens to the dogs? I mean,
The dogs bay them. They bark, they get them up a tree, and then the person
okay.
comes along and shoots them. Sometimes the dogs get attacked, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it does
the part
happen.
of that story I'm not so
I'm not
nuts
so
about.
happy about that either. But
Now, when you went in the woods, did you have a gun?
there was a guy with us that had a gun.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
kept saying, "Oh, you got a gun?" And I was like,
You should have a gun around
I
mountain
know,
lions.
I know, I
Yeah.
know. I would
Now
never.
you know.
I
Yeah.
know. We had a ranger with us, and he's also he's a Bigfoot. Robert Lederman is a ranger, and he's I'd say a Bigfoot enthusiast. He's a really sweet guy. Huge help on the movie, actually, and it's like 3, 4 in the morning, and he's like, I'm a writer too. And I go, oh, really? I go, what do you write? He goes, well, Twilight? I go, yeah. He goes, I write a tween novel set in the Bigfoot world. It's a coming-of-age story, like Twilight.
So
but
two Bigfoot hunters fall in love?
young Bigfoot.
A young Bigfoot falls in love with a person?
No, people fall in love in the world. I go, what's the name? He's like, Yeti or not. And at this point, yeah. And I'm like, I go, this is my air hose. You're like, this guy is the only thing keeping me alive tonight.
Yeti or not. Oh my God, that's
I was
hilarious.
very happy that he liked the movie. Again, these were the folks
in the community.
Yeah, Stephen Stufford up in Bigfoot Books. If you saw that in the movie,
This is the last thing I'm going to say about it. The howl. The howl was very authentic. It's like I've heard the sounds that they supposedly connect with the howl.
Well, that's the thing. Like you listen to that stuff too. Okay, let's forget the Patterson Gimlin footage, but there's so much stuff.
Oh no! I don't think there's no evidence that Bigfoot exists, and I don't think that Bigfoot doesn't exist. I think that
the Patterson Gimlin
a guy's
footage.
a hoaxer. A guy's a bullshit artist. I met people when I was up in the Pacific Northwest that knew the Patterson and knew the other dude too.
Bob Gimlin.
Hieronymus.
Oh.
Hieronymus, the guy who wore the
right,
suit. And they said those guys were bullshit artists. They were always trying to make money, and they'd been trying to do it for a long time. They'd had someone else make a suit. They had someone else make a suit, and it didn't work, and so they had this.
Well, but Patterson... Who made that suit then?
Who the fuck knows? But you know what?
Come on,
Here's
that
the thing.
suit is an amazing suit.
It's not that good. Here's the problem.
Everybody,
this is why everybody wants to say that it's really good, but here's what's realistic. It's blurry as fuck. So you're not getting a real accurate, crisp version of what you're seeing. You're getting this smushy version of it. And so everybody wants to attribute it to muscles and this movement to like, there's no design, no costume like that. I would buy that if you would show me a high-resolution, crystal-clear video of what we're looking at. But you're looking at blurry trees. The trees look blurry as fuck. You can't make out the very specific branches or the texture of the bark. So what you're looking at when you're saying that it looks so good, you're looking at this blurry thing. That might be tits. That might be a flaw in the costume. That might be his ass. Or it might be he's wearing a fucking diaper under a gorilla suit.
I'm leaving. No. I think.
Pull it
what
up
about-
again. Let's watch
but
it
wait,
one more time.
I want to get back to the breast.
Stabilized.
I always think that's very weird.
It's weird, but it's not impossible to
But
fake
if you're
tits.
trying to,
It's not.
In
Maybe
Los
the
Angeles.
reason. Well, here's the thing. Okay, how
So-
about this? Maybe they would feel like Bigfoot is way larger than a person, so you just pretend to be a female Bigfoot. Because Bob Hieronymus is 6'5". He's too small to be a Sasquatch.
so they're saying that.
So they give him tits. That's way more likely than they filmed Bigfoot. Right? It's
Then
way
wait-
more likely.
All right, but you say that now. What Bigfoot do you? What evidence do you buy then?
There's a lot of things that are interesting. First of all, the footprints with the dermal ridges. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because that's incredibly difficult to fake. See, I'm looking at that, man.
You know, there's
That's so blurry. Look how blurry everything is. It's all washed out. Look at that tree. You don't know what the fuck that tree really
Wow.
looks like. You can't see shit. You can't see anything.
well,
Look
this
at all
is
these.
a bad version.
But
we're
this is
looking
the
at.
best version you can get, man. It's just blown up. When you're looking at
So what do
everything
you-
in the distance.
So you want him shot on red?
No,
you
I'm
want
saying it looks
Laszlo
like shit.
Kovacs to be the DP?
Dude, be honest. Look at the trees you're looking at
I'll
in
tell you
front of
what's
Bigfoot.
going on. They're
But
in-
look at the trees in front of him. You can't even see any definition of those trees.
They're in meal penalties right now, and Bigfoot says,
Be honest. Look,
Patty says, "I'm out of here."
show it one more time.
That looks real to me.
Jesus Christ, you're crazy. One more time. Look at what you're looking at. You're looking at incredibly blurry shit. You're looking at incredibly blurry trees that are all washed out, and everyone trying to attribute all this musculature and definition.
Well, why does
you
this-
barely know what you're looking at here.
Why does this hold up so much?
It
over the years?
doesn't.
But
It's
why?
The, it's
Look
the
at you
Jesus
and I
of
right
the
now.
Bigfoot world. It doesn't hold up. It's just a film that has not been authenticated or refuted. It just hasn't been. Because science hasn't really spent any fucking time examining it.
What about in Russia?
Goddamn Bigfoot. The Yeti in Russia?
No, the Russians spent a lot of time examining that. They
Examining
didn't-
that?
Yes,
Well,
yes.
they were fucking with us, okay? It's ridiculous. Like, yeah, tell them it's real. Let them waste their time.
So,
Waste their time on
what
this monkey.
evidence then, if you're so opposed?
Dermal ridges are fascinating. That's fascinating. The Melba Ketchum DNA is fascinating.
Really?
In fact, on the show, we just had a
But
geneticist
that's-
go over that.
Yeah, but that's the stuff that people are
Could be bullshit.
Are calling BS on.
It could be, but the deal is, though, this guy was a geneticist that overlooked
Right.
the data, and it was his conclusion based on his understanding of genetics. He was an accomplished geneticist.
But
And
but
he-
not published in any real thing other than their own.
No, that's because they couldn't get published. And
We
they-
are so far down. the
no,
rabbit
but
hole.
it's no, it's a good
is-
it's a good
this
thing
is
to
like-
say.
this
That's
is
a
like-
better footage.
This is when the 09 checks out.
No, look, it's a fascinating subject.
Oh,
I
you
don't
want-
know
you want an
if
insight
she's
on my
correct
life?
or wrong, this Melba Ketchum woman, or if
Right.
it's a hoax. But when a geneticist says that he
Right.
finds the information to be compelling, then I have to listen because I'm too fucking stupid to understand who's right or who's wrong.
Now, did you ever see any of the story of Jimmy Stewart with the Yeti finger?
Jimmy Stewart,
Jimmy
the
Stewart,
the
smuggled,
actor.
Yeah, he smuggled what was supposed to be a Yeti finger
no.
out of the Himalayas in his wife's underwear. It wasn't in her pants, but I mean in her underwear.
Whoa, honey, you're gonna have to keep this in your pussy.
Yeah,
This is important. It's a
you think
Yeti finger.
You think it's hard getting weed
It
out
needs,
of it?
it needs to be moist.
Look, it wasn't. It was in her underwear drawer, and they got it all the way to England. Now that has been proven not to be a Yeti finger.
What was it?
I can't remember, but I remember that.
Let's look it up.
It had DNA testing done to it.
Jimmy Stewart at Yeti finger.
But
results.
you know what really works for me is a lot of the audio recordings. Well, obviously, because you were talking about that in the movie, and that is what works for me. Is I love listening to them. I think it's funny. You were talking about UFOs. I think it's funny. It's like people will go, "Well, where's the footage?"
Yeah.
Well, there's a ton of footage on UFOs now that you can't wrap your brain around.
Yeah. Okay. Here's something interesting about the Yeti finger.
Mm-hmm.
They said the DNA tests have found it to be human bone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's what's interesting. They
Jimmy
think
Stewart's wife smuggled a human bone.
finger, but they think that these things are fucking human. It doesn't mean that that's
Got you.
wrong.
Got
The people that I thought that they thought that this was like some sort of like orangutan, giant orangutan thing, but no, they think it's like that hobbit, that Homo florensis, you're aware
Right.
of that? That
Yeah.
little tiny man
Sure.
that they found on the island of
And
Flores.
he's still, well,
that was a human.
Yeah, well, that's the Native Americans up in the Pacific Northwest just some of the tribes just attributed the Sasquatch as another tribe. I mean, it wasn't
Jesus.
Now, have you gone down this rabbit hole? The amount of people who go disappearing in our parks.
No.
There is no federal database set up for people who go missing in the parks, and it's I can't remember the number. It's huge. There's an author who wrote a book about it. It's really fascinating.
Do they think that these are Yetis or?
He doesn't even go down that road. He just says, "Why is it? We should look it up." I don't know what the number. He's saying, what is this? Why isn't there? And where are all these people gone? I can't. I feel really bad.
Well,
for
it's
bringing up
easily
this
they could starve to death. I mean, you get lost in the woods,
and you could get lost
freeze to
easily.
death.
But the weird part is the Fed's not taking the time to have a database.
I actually have a friend whose dad died in the woods.
Yeah.
He went hiking, and then the fog rolled in, and he got
Did they find
trapped.
him though?
Eventually, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I think they didn't find him for a long time too. But you can
once
die
you've been
up
out in the woods like we were. What happened to your mind when you were out there? That's pretty funny to me.
Well, it's very.
How late did you stay up?
Oh, we were there we didn't sleep in the woods. We decided to stay in a hotel that was in town. That was 20 miles away. Yeah, but just being around there at night.
Yeah.
When you're in those woods, okay, even in the day, when you go into those woods, you're gone. We were in Mount Rainier. You go into those woods and it's another world.
Yeah.
First of all, there's elk that bound in front of you, and they're 500-600 pound animal just jumping in front of you.
Yeah, that's weird when you run into animal. I saw that up in Willow Creek, and
elk are huge.
That aren't afraid of you. That's the weird part.
They don't even know what the fuck you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've never seen one of you. They're
we
living in those
there.
fucking woods.
Which was pretty fun because a couple of guys, it was really funny because we were at Louse Camp, which, if anybody knows, that's really close to that. And one of the guys goes, because we had two women, the actress and a producer, and we never had a woman here before. This is around a campfire in the middle of the night. I go, fellas, I'm going to stop you right there. That's usually when the raping starts.
Yeah, you shouldn't even say that, even if it's true. Keep that shit to yourself, son.
I don't usually get women out here. Never had women out here.
So as far as the things that they've collected, like the UFO, quote unquote evidence, to me the most interesting shit is the howls that are really insane.
Oh, sure.
Primate howls.
Yeah.
And the dermal ridges that they found
Terrifying
on footprints.
too. Like some of them was great. Like in the middle of the night, and it's awesome. I was once before the keynote speaker got up. One of the guys he mentions. There's two guys, like an opener. There's the feature, there's the headline, right? And MC. So basically the feature brings up UFOs while he's doing his Bigfoot pitch. And about a third of the room went, like, oh boy. Who brought this kook? A third of the room went, I'm going to take a piss.
Well, there's people in the Bigfoot community that make fun of wood knockers. They're up there wood knocking like they're just gonna wood knock back.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, I said, these guys who are upset if you smoke tobacco around them, and there's people with crying babies and making bacon, and
Well, the one guy saying to the other guy that you never find Bigfoot because you smoke. I've seen Bigfoot 3 times. You're never gonna see Bigfoot because you smoke. That cuts at a man's soul.
And I was wondering, how does this guy feel about grass? Does he think that Bigfoot's down with grass?
Oh, Bigfoot's probably attracted to weed.
I have noticed that a few of our fellow Sasquatch hunters are could possibly be a little baked out there.
Well, squatching when you're high is probably way more fun than sober
middle
squatching.
Of the night,
Yes.
Oh my God.
Sober squatching leaves much to be desired.
I really think folks can't wrap their brains around how many millions of acres there are still in California and Oregon and Portland that are completely like a plane goes down and no one finds it.
I think you're totally right. And I think that's one of the things that we tried to capture on the show when we went up into Mount Rainier. I was like, the way I described the trees, I was like, it's like a box of Q-tips. You know how you get a box of Q-tips and, they're just shoved in there That's
Yeah,
all
yeah,
these
yeah,
trees.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
you're not getting through that. You're going to get through that guy going like this. One step right and one step left and one step right. You're going to like slowly have to seesaw your way through all these trees.
Yeah.
Like this is an incredibly dense rainforest and there's thousands of square miles. Thousands. And you can't just get to the middle of it. There's not trails through all of it. So if something was living up there, it could see you coming a fucking mile away.
Yeah.
Hide from you so easy. Especially if it had better senses than us, which if it lives in the woods, it's got to have like animal senses,
Sure,
right?
of course.
It probably has senses like a dog does.
Sure.
Dogs would be able to hear you and see you
There's no way
coming.
a human being, yeah.
But deer
yeah.
see you coming a mile away. They hear you coming a mile away.
Well, so tell me, or you're not trying to talk too much about the show you did. Who did you go out with?
I'm not trying to talk too much about it, but we went with these guys from WASR, the Washington State Sasquatch Research Team. These guys,
Was it a
they're
blast? Did you have a good
hardcore-
time?
Oh, yeah, they were great guys. They were hardcore, dedicated squatchers, and they
Yeah.
took us to like some serious spots. And we saw some weird shit. We saw some trees that were arranged in some really peculiar positions in the middle of the
From
forest.
nowhere, and you're going.
We also saw some trees that were broken in the middle, which is really weird because there's no wind inside this forest. You know, you're deep in the forest, and you see trees that are snapped in half 7 feet up.
Yeah.
Like something grabbed it and snapped it. I don't know what the fuck it was. I mean, I don't know what happened, but it's weird. You know, you see that. But to them, that's Squatch. That's silent Squatch. Squatch has marked this here territory. There's an area in Alaska. I don't know if you're familiar with it. How deep you went with your Bigfoot research.
I have not gone to Alaska yet.
Not if you've gone
I've been
deep,
to Alaska,
but have you
I
heard of
haven't
the
gone-
trees? The
No.
two trees that
What's
are
this?
uprooted? Jamie, see if you can find the photo. There's these 2 trees in Alaska that they believe Bigfoot has uprooted
Have you
and
gone to
driven
Alaska?
into the ground. Not yet. I'm
Again,
doing a gig up there in 2 weeks.
Which town?
I'm doing a gig in Anchorage.
Yeah. Well, the Anchorage is really it's beautiful, but yeah, maybe that's why I'm going off the grid.
Yeah, Alaska's great. I'm
At
addicted
least
to
you're going
those.
now. I mean, I did 2 dates in February in Anchorage.
No!
You kind of reassess your career choices the second time you go, hello, Anchorage.
How cold was it?
It was so cool, but it's, it's this weird thing. There's guys wearing shorts and sneaks because you just go in and out of heated things and it's dry. There's like snow places that never goes away and stuff.
These are those trees. They're picked
Oh,
up by their
wow.
roots and driven into the ground, and no one knows how the fuck it was done. They know that it wasn't done with heavy equipment because apparently there's no marks on the trees that correspond to the use of heavy equipment.
Now, what do you
Supposedly,
think that
allegedly. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. When you hear these stories, you're hearing about them. See if there's any other photos of that, Jamie. Better ones. I've seen some different ones that are more in detail. But you don't know how much you're dealing with. It's just people that are in love with that shit, you know?
Sure, but there's a cynicism that you can have, and then there's the question of what if, and you could even say all this stuff is BS, but I do love the what if.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. It's Jane Goodall thinks they're real.
Yeah, Jane Goodall. Yeah, sure.
That's legit.
That's
to
when
me.
that's when the 09 gave me shark eyes when I pulled out Jane Goodall.
Did she really?
I mean, how sharks,
They roll back.
They roll back before they bite. She was like, wow, like, yeah.
Well, people that think it's bullshit, and you start pulling out Jane Goodall.
That's
Pretty legit.
Again, the 09. She likes to say this movie, the Willow Creek. That's what the name of this movie is that we're talking about. It's not. I can't announce it yet. It got into some bigger festivals that'll happen soon.
How is it not
later
just in the movies?
I think that there's, that you can make a good trailer for the movie, and I think it could open. I think it's different than the other movies.
It's
they
fucking
made.
great.
Oh, thanks.
I would go
man.
see that if I was on a
Thanks.
date.
Sure.
That's a great date night movie.
Well,
it's
thanks,
fucking
man.
fun. It's a fun look. And obviously, I'm very biased because I love you and I'm a Bigfoot dork. So it was a double combination. But I enjoyed the shit out of it, man.
Well, thanks, man. Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You know, it's funny. I just, I'm starting now to make about a movie a year, different sizes, different budgets, different people, and then in the meantime, I work for other folks and I do stand up. Like I'm about to go do Patton's new Comedy Central special. I'll direct that.
Oh, that's great. You're going to direct a stand up special?
Yeah.
Where's he filming that?
He's going to be at Comic-Con. I mean,
oh, wow.
that is really
that's perfect.
Yeah, that is like if like
you stack the deck.
Yeah, exactly. That would be like if you were in one of those giant southern cathedrals that holds, the mega churches.
Yeah.
And then Christ actually just came out of the floor. Like he just showed up. That's what Patton at Comic-Con is going to be like.
I love Patton.
Yeah,
I
he's
love
brilliant.
His writing is fucking fun, man.
Yeah, he's brilliant. So that kind of stuff, like if I can work with a comic and try to try to make it easier when they show up, so they're not worrying about, some knuckleheads, that makes me really happy. That's just as satisfying, believe it or not, as going out and doing a show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I love comics and I don't like it when people make it harder. You know what I mean? Like just before you go on TV, everybody's saying the worst thing. You're gonna do good. It's like, don't
get the fuck out of here.
Shut up.
You're not making me lose.
Yeah, that's the worst thing ever. They're questioning. You're going to do good. My friend Tony, like.
Tony V?
Yeah, so, like, he was on Letterman. Tony. I love Tony V. So I sent him flowers when he's on Letterman, and it just said, don't fuck this up. and then one time, he was taping another TV show, and it was years ago, and it's, I go, Tony, I'm coming down there tonight to watch you tape. He goes, oh, really? Don't. No, I'm bringing Robin Williams, so don't fuck this up. He just thinks you're my friend. He doesn't know that you're funny, so really do good. He's like, you're a fucking asshole. And then, of course, you do that to a guy, and they go up and they're laughing. Because subconsciously he's going, well, Bobcat's not going to tell me I'm going to fucking blow if you know what I mean. So that, you need a safety zone. You need friends that aren't driving you nuts before you go on. And stuff.
Well, it seems like what I like about what you've done with your I hate the word career, but I guess that's what it is. Career always seems so formal. It's just how you express yourself. What I like about it is that you have not boxed yourself into any one corner. Like this Bigfoot thing is this fucking freaky horror movie.
That's why I love it. It's like so funny. It's like people, their perception, and then you make it, and it's really fun to watch with an audience.
But what I was gonna say is, but also like. I'll run into you and you're directing the Chappelle Show. I ran into you, you're directing Kimmel.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing all this weird shit, but you're equally competent at all of it. And it seems like you're equally enthusiastic about all of it.
Yeah, well,
it allows you to like direct someone's stand up and enjoy it as much as doing your own stand up, which you also enjoy.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. Now the other side of it is like it's not it's probably the least secure I've ever been financially, but there's something awesome every time you jump off and you go, hey, what am I gonna do next? And every time it works out in some harebrained way. I mean, I gave the commencement speech at my daughter's school at Hampshire College, and first I went up and I just read an Oprah speech word for word. Whenever I'm nervous, I always go to Oprah, and it was all about making it, and I was like, blah, 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 dreams and hopes, and I go, this doesn't apply to any of you kids. You guys gotta quit as often as possible in life until you end up someplace that you don't want to leave, and you could smell the parents' stomach acid. They just spent all this money on an education.
That's so true. That's actually amazing advice. Quit as many times as you can until you find something you don't want to leave.
And like, there's a weird thing for guys our age. I mean, you're younger than me, but where we're doing all different things, and are we enjoying them or not? And then all of a sudden, this age, we come onto our own, and it's the freaky part is, like, after World's Greatest Dad, I wrote 5 screenplays. I mean, I just write screenplays all the time. And someone goes, well, who are you competing with? And I'm like, the Grim fucking Reaper, man. I'm not like sitting looking over at,
Who are you competing with? Isn't that an interesting question, that if you produce anything, you create something, you're competing against somebody to create it? What a shitty mentality, but common. It's a common thought.
Yeah, and as soon as you can remove those guys and make it, yourself instead of other people, and you're not judging what you make by their standards and stuff, it's a pretty awesome place.
Yeah, that's the thing about being a grown ass man too. It's like you get to a point where you're comfortable in your own life and you're comfortable with what you do and you know what's good and what you've done. You've had enough feedback by what you've done that you enjoy and what you've done that you did for money, and then you get to this sort of like place where you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, and I'm not on a pink cloud. When there's gigs I take for the bread and there's things I do, but it does make it a little easier when you're sitting there, and you're asking, what is your police academy? I'm interested in that. Like, what does people bring up?
Fear Factor.
Fear Factor. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're polite, I'm sure, when people talk about it.
I enjoyed doing it. Fear Factor was nothing. There was nothing artistic about Fear Factor, but I had a lot of great moments.
But there are a couple questions that you've heard a million times, right?
Oh yeah.
And what is it? What is the one?
Did you ever eat any of that stuff? Hey Joe, is Fear Factor for you? Yeah, but I have a very healthy attitude about it. And, I'm happy that people enjoyed the show, and I understand what it would be like if I enjoyed the show and I ran into me. I might say something stupid, too. I might say, it's Fear Factor for you, buddy, because I wouldn't know what else to say. I'm an idiot,
But you don't detest it. We do our best and smile through it.
Yes.
But this person doesn't realize they're the third person that stopped me today
at the airport
and asked me at the airport
as you went to your gate.
No, you know what it is? It's always, it's the security people. When you're taking your belt off. Yo,
man, where's that movie with that horse at? Yo, man, you did that movie with that horse?
You did the movie with the beer.
Oh, you did that shit?
You're like,
man.
But now it's worse because they go, I don't know him. They're all looking at me, and it's like, I never heard of him. Do the voice. It's the worst.
That's
Jimmy
hilarious.
Kimmel loves to bust my balls harder than anyone about the voice. It's just, like if we're doing the show and, during the commercial, I go over do the voice. I go, you prick,
That's hilarious.
Jimmy went and got a star, and that was I hadn't seen him in a while, so I went with him while I was very touched.
He got a star on the Hollywood Boulevard?
Yeah, it was really sweet.
Beautiful.
It was just a real Capra-esque moment with everybody, that guys that I've seen in and out of his life, and it's really sweet to watch. But the 09 goes, I tried to get you a star. And I go, what happened? They said, ma'am, the posthumous request, swear to God, it's another.
They thought you were dead?
Yeah. And I said to her, I go, well, then what did you do? She goes, well, the guy insisted you were dead. And I said, I'm your wife. And I was like, I would have taken a dead star. I don't care. I would have showed up in like gore makeup.
That would actually be hilarious. Yeah, if they gave you a star. You were dead. They gave you a star, and then you showed up and they're like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Coming on lower down.
He's alive. In this day and age, everyone's zombie obsessed.
I just come in gore makeup with maggots coming out of an eye socket. She killed me.
That's hilarious. That would be really funny, man. Especially if sure, you can get somebody in Hollywood to do it up really good, like Walking Dead style, where it looked realistic.
Sure, yeah.
That would be awesome.
So I have a question. You did this one episode. What's the next one?
Well, we're doing 6. We were picked up for 6. It starts July 16th. So there's
I had a similar idea, but what I wanted to do, and this was after shooting Willow Creek, I thought it'd be funny to go. Let's say I go the Jersey Devil, right?
Right.
But I make it because I'm interested in filmmaking, so I get Kevin Smith to go with me in a tent, and we go and sleep out and look for the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, that would be great.
And then you just keep going, but it's always like John Waters is Baltimore, and we go in this haunted house in Baltimore again, and just camp out.
That's funny. Well, what I'm doing is some of them I'm doing with comedians. Like I did one with Duncan Trussell. He went with Looking for Bigfoot with me.
Oh, okay.
And Ari Shafir is going to go to a transhumanist conference with me in New York. Transhumanism is
I don't know transhumanism.
People that want to download consciousness into computers, like Ray Kurzweil and the like. All the people that are into robots and. So he's going to go and do some of that with me too. So a lot of it I'm doing it like with comic friends.
But it's cool to go, have an open mind, and just not be snarky. Because here's the thing, what people don't realize. all these different subcultures and stuff, they have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
You don't have to roll your eyes, you
Right.
know? I mean, like, there's a lot of laughs in Willow Creek from these guys, and they're just, you know, they know they're making jokes. They're not, you know, they're...
Listen, the guys that we were hanging out with up in Seattle and Mount Rainier, they were great guys. And one of the guys had a great point. He goes, hey, he had never seen Bigfoot, and he had been fascinated by it, and he'd been looking. He said, listen, if I don't ever even see Bigfoot, I'm still camping. I'm enjoying the wilderness.
Right,
I'm out here having a good time. He goes, I enjoy
Which
every
makes
step
me
of the
wonder
way.
why people get so aggressive about it.
People get aggressive about music.
But I mean, that's true.
You know, they get aggressive about movies.
That guy sucks.
They get aggressive about TV shows. Like, how the fuck can you watch this?
I had a now it's actually so played out, but I had a story when I was directing Kimmel's show about Nickelback, and the first time I tell the story, I go, and I wasn't like, I think making fun of Nickelback is really hacky at this point, but I really said, I go, what's the band that sucks? And the guy immediately goes, Nickelback. I go, yes, they were on the show. Now, as a comic, I go, I'm going to see if that works tomorrow night. And it does. And it keeps, you know, every time. It's like, it's really funny that these guys, for some reason, are the whipping boy of music.
I don't understand that.
But
I'm confused.
I
but
will
I'll
tell.
join in.
I will. I will tell stories out of school that, you know, the manager of Nickelback came into the booth, and he goes, "Don't shoot Chad from the front." And I'm like, I don't even know what Chad is. You know, I figure out that's the lead singer. He says, "Don't shoot Chad from the front." I was like, "Why?" He goes, "Because of his nose. Just shoot him. Don't shoot him profile. Just shoot him in the front." That's what I'm sorry. He says, "Shoot him in the front, no profile." That's what I said. I was like, okay. So he leaves, and all the cameramen are my best friends. When you're a television director, that's who you really bond with. And they're like going, "Oh, don't shoot. Hey, Bob, can I direct? You know, you're letting the manager Nickelback direct." You know, they're really busting my balls. So if you see the Kimmel Show, as the show goes off the air, the band's playing, right? And so I go, yeah, there's a profile shot. And just as I go to the AD, I go, "Tell me when I have 10 seconds left." She goes, "Okay." And she goes, 10 seconds. I go, "Shoot the nose." And 6 cameras go whizzing in from every direction. And I did a montage of his nose. I go, "Ready, camera 5, ready 4, ready 3, ready 6, ready 7. And I just, and we just went off the air with this guy's nose. And so it got
hilarious.
super quiet in the headsets, and the guys go, "Hey, man, what are we going to do now?" And I'm like,
I didn't plan for that.
I'm getting in my car. Have a good weekend, guys.
Did anybody yell at you?
Well, I know that it didn't make the West Coast broadcast. So.
They censored the nose?
Well, I'm sure people flipped out because I did something like that
Listen,
to another
man,
band, and I know
that's
that.
his fucking nose. It's not that bad. He's
Well,
not an ugly guy.
Again, though, if someone didn't come into the booth and tell me what to do, I wouldn't even have done the tribute to his nose.
What do you attribute the whole hate for Nickelback to? Is it they're
don't
too
know.
smooth?
I
Are
don't
they too
know why-
polished?
there's.
Too poppy?
I don't understand why just suddenly everybody gangs on Nickelback when there's so much more crap in the world. I
Yeah,
mean, you know,
what is it?
I don't know. It's just this weird. Well, you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. There's a safety in bullying. You know, if we all decide that we're gonna bully Nickelback, then you're not bullying
Or
me.
Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
Or whoever. Fill in the blank.
But liking him or disliking Justin Bieber, I don't have that kind of time, you know? You know what I mean? I don't even know, you know, he's not for me.
Right.
Although he does.
But then
Bieber
again, you're a
points out-
50-year-old man, you know?
Yeah, but here's the thing, you know. Yeah, and I just, you know, I think of him in terms of like Donny Osmond when I was growing up. You know, I was threatened and weirded out, and then when I got older, I was like, "Hey, Donny Osmond's not a bad guy.
He's a nice guy."
Yeah, isn't that weird? You end up meeting all these, and Donny was super nice. Yeah.
I did his show. He had the Donnie and Marie show.
I had a Donnie doll that I used to bring out a puppet and do so stupid and do weird things with it.
I'd do like a puppet show with him.
Yeah,
Put
during my
words in his
stand-up.
mouth.
Well, you know, I'm gutting fish, so it wasn't that much of a stretch for me to pull out a Donnie. Donny Osmond doll. My early stand-up, there was no jokes. I mean, it's nice that you like to meet Bob because I had material then, but it was just doing one weird thing after another. I was super influenced by Andy Kaufman and Steve Martin and stuff like that. So if I did well, it would kind of go well, and then sometimes when I did bad, the show would go off the rails. It just ruined all the other guys' nights and stuff.
Well, you guys were. It was such that comedy environment was such a hot environment, but it also the Boston comedy environment really supported originality. Originality was really huge.
Yeah,
in
it was
Boston.
for weird. It was nice that like if you were derivative, you didn't get work. So
and you got shit on.
Sure, yeah.
You got shit on by all your peers. Nobody just let that slide. They kept a high standard, which is difficult for people who don't want to maintain a high standard. But for people that realize that you're going to have to be judged by your peers.
So you got this weird court of your peers.
Yeah.
So you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do other people's acts. So then you go on stage. Then we're gonna goose it and have some of the toughest, worst crowds in the world.
Yeah.
So it was a good place.
Nick's Comedy Stop.
Sure. Nick's.
Animals.
Did you
Play
do
it again,
the Paradise?
Sam's.
I
Yeah.
had my own. I had a thing called Dollar Night at Sam's. And it'd be me and Stephen Wright, and we'd walk the room. People would be like, "What the hell was that?"
I started out at the Paradise. Stitches.
Oh, really?
This was
Stitches.
my
Yeah,
first
yeah,
gig.
yeah.
Yeah, the first open mic
So I have
night.
a question for you. Do you think anybody's going to come along and as a comedian and ever be what Steve Martin was? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, or do you think we're too fractured as a society? Like, my mother had weighed in on Steve Martin. She thought he was funny.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
and you did as well. So it went across the board.
exactly.
Is that
That's what I'm saying. My
Jim
dad
Gaffigan.
knew who he was.
Gaffigan is squeaky clean and I think funny to everybody. Brian Regan.
But these guys appeal to everybody, but they're not the phenomenon. They're not on the cover of Rolling Stone. They're not.
I feel you.
Like,
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I don't think it could happen. I mean, there's certain things I don't think can happen anymore because of the digital age. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I'm just saying.
I don't know about that because Dane Cook cracked through because of the digital age, and although his was like more of like a teeny bopper sort of a crowd,
Yeah, again.
that guy was doing 18,000 seat arenas.
But
that
he
was
was-
very Steve Martin-esque.
But when I was growing up, Steve Martin, you had to deal with. My parents, if they were alive, would not know who Dane Cook is.
Yeah, but that's just Dane Cook. I'm saying he broke through in his digital
Sure, no,
age.
I'm saying there's going to
appealed
be people
to-
that'll be huge, but I don't think there'll be people that are so huge that everybody in the family knows them and they're a phenomenon.
I wonder. I mean,
I don't think it could happen again.
You might be right, and we are definitely more fragmented than ever before.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's a good thing because there's a lot more audience for more obscure people that wouldn't have had an outlet before.
And I think that's great.
I think that's great too.
But I do worry about like our exposure to our world gets minute, or maybe I'll just say for myself. Am I going to go to BBC and learn today about the events, or am I going to click on the Bigfoot site and go down a rabbit hole for 2 hours? What do you think's going to happen?
I did the same thing.
There's something, when you had a newspaper, now it's like I'm an old guy yelling, "Get off my lawn." But you had a newspaper. I go through. I'm interested in that. Oh, I didn't know that was going on in China.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the digital age makes it a little bit too much. You can find news that agrees with your outlook, which is weird. The news should not be. It should be. It's never impartial, but it should be somewhat.
Yeah, you could, if you have confirmation bias, you could support it really easily on the internet, just sticking to a bubble.
Yeah,
I think. But
I love like when I'm ego surfing and I see someone call me a libtard, and I'm like, I'm so out of there.
A libtard.
Libtard.
Yeah, when someone calls you a liberal, that's hilarious. Self-hating liberal. Liberal's one of the weirdest sort of insults ever, because if you look at let's look at the
definition of it.
This
Yeah,
is the official definition of liberal. Okay, where's yeah, I guess this is
See libtard.
Wikipedia. See libtard. All right, look it up in a dictionary. It says to open to new behavior or opinions and willing to discard traditional values. That's hilarious. That sounds pretty positive. Unprejudiced, unbigoted, broad-minded, open-minded, enlightened, permissive, free, free and easygoing. Those are
Now, the only thing that seems to be threatening to me would be to folks is disregarding what was it?
disregarding traditional values.
Yeah, see that's very threatening to people. There's
Yeah.
people that treat the Constitution as if it's like the Ten Commandments, like that there's no, we're checks and balances. We can change and adjust things, but there's so people that are so ingrained. That's really scary.
I think there's also the real problem with liberalism is a lot of people know that folks naturally are inclined to be lazy fucks. And if you give people an easy way out, they'll take it. So as soon as you start advocating, giving people aid or helping people out or people, get them up, get that fucker up. It's like there's a part of people that
Resents
that
them immediately.
Yeah. There's a resentment against
But
the
what
idea is that
happened-
liberals
but what
are not
happened,
into
like
hard
after
work.
World War II, it's like, hey, you're down on your luck. Here's your
Right.
GI loan. Here's this. Here's that.
I think it was a much harder world that they were dealing with. And it was only a couple of decades after the fucking Depression,
Yeah.
where people are much more used to living together, scraping to get by. Your parents almost starved to death 20 years ago, and they all have stories about it.
Yeah.
My grandfather had horrible stories about the Depression.
Yeah,
Scary shit.
my old man lived through the Depression, and that'll make well, my old man's a whole nother can of worms, but
As was mine.
there you go.
Yeah. The
You know what? Would we be sitting here talking?
no. Yeah, you'd never be a comic.
Would we-
I think that's one of the number one pieces of. I've
If you
never met a
really-
comic that didn't have a fucked up life.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever met one.
Basically, I think my act it was me going on stage going, "Mom, do you hear me?" I think that's in a nutshell.
Yeah.
That's 100%.
But it's funny how that's like my favorite art form comes out of that imbalance. It seems like it's the only way to achieve it. It's like to achieve it correctly, like there has to be some sort of a deficit to create this, this it's a reaction to a lack of something. It's not just a natural progression from I was kind of a funny guy in high school and I figured let me try out this stand-up thing. It's
Well,
more
because
like
here's the thing. It's what we're missing is that those times that we bombed, we probably should have never got back on stage.
right.
But we eat it and then go back up again because it's horrible. It's a crazy, weird thing. Like often the funniest guy in the room is not the comedian. You know what I
Often,
mean? It's
many
just the
times.
comedian's got the illness or the nads to go up there.
Or both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But something's happening lately on stage, and this is not me lying. That all of a sudden, for the first time in 30 years, I'm sometimes having fun up there. I was always panicked the whole time. I was up
Really?
there. Yeah, something new. Like all of a sudden, I don't know, man. I'm on this new thing. Like sometimes with the right crowd, I actually enjoy it, and yeah, it's a new thing.
Isn't that funny that something that people enjoy so much to come see, and it looks like you're having so much fun up there, but for a lot of folks, it's just terror and fear and worry about bombing and just fucking trying to get when it's over. And then you're fuck 2 more shows tomorrow.
Yeah.
And even if you're killing every show,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just,
it's a new thing. Suddenly it dawned on me what was a new thing that dawned on me is like, it was okay. These people have an expectation, and I'm not doing that. But how can I warm up to them? How can I include them so it's not just me saying this is what I see the world as, this is what I see as funny, if you don't like it, cram it.
Right.
I'm not saying compromise what I believe in, but suddenly I was doing like a little bit of crowd work that wasn't like, how do you know when you're finished, but to actually just sit around and poke around and talk to folks, and it's been different. It made doing stand-up a lot more fun.
that's awesome, man. I love when people like refine the joy of performing or find it.
Well, like
after all
Cosby's
these times.
funny still, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, what is he doing? How is he doing that?
Not only is he funny, he doesn't have an opening act.
Yeah, and he's.
Cosby does like an hour and a half. Hello, everybody. He sits down and boom.
It was actually Louis that said to me. He was like, CK. He's like, go see Cosby. He goes,
Wow.
he's gonna do a ton of material. You're gonna think 20 minutes went by. He's still funny, and lo and behold, yeah, I go and I was like, this is weird. I wanted to be bitter and he ruined it.
Well, maybe it's because he just enjoys the art form. As long as like stand up to me seems like when I feel like when I'm like really tuned into it, I'm as much of I'm like a passenger. And I feel like it's a group hypnosis thing. Like you lock people and you know how to do the bits right, you know where it's going, you know the setup, and you hold the pause, and it becomes like this big and if you tune into that frequency and nourish it, as long as you continue to nourish it, it seems like something that would always be there. It seems like when people lose it is when they take a couple of years off and then they go back again, or something happens and they're not really into it anymore.
I think it's maybe the opposite. It's like when people just, this works, I'm going to do it and just get out of here tonight with my life, get the check. You know what I mean? So, because I know I have done that, you know, but this is different, a new phase where I go up there and I go, all right, it's not a mistake you're here. You know what I mean?
Right. I see
slow
what
it
you're saying.
down. Slow it down. And instead of just blurting out those new ideas, you know, that's usually what I do, like in the first couple of minutes, whatever the new ideas is, and then I do the act. I go, gee, slow it down. It has been new. You know, maybe people are like, I'll see. You know, I keep doing it and see if folks like it. But you know,
Are you more comfortable as a person now?
Yeah.
So is that it, you think?
Yeah, I'm not like, you know, rainbows and crap and unicorns all day. I mean, I get dark, but I will say, the majority of the time I'm happy, and I'm happy when I'm making stuff. So now I know that, well, okay, no one greenlit this movie or no one did this and that. I pick up I start writing.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter if it gets made or not. That process is very freeing.
Yeah, there's something about creating things where, especially if people enjoy those things, if you can put those things out and they can, like, people can, like, actually get, like, say someone goes to see Willow Creek. If you go and see this movie, what you're going to get is like a feeling. You're going to sit down and this thing's going to happen in front of you and you're going to, and you're going to have all this feeling attached to, and you as, the pretentious word, artist, but you as an artist, like as someone who's created this, gets to sit there and realize that your effort, your thought, your focus, all this, you piece it together, you edit it up, and boom, and then you deliver it, and then you get to watch all this positive reaction. You just want to go do more. You just want to continue that cycle of putting out
for
cool
me,
shit.
I think it's kind of like I keep making these movies, and it's really exciting, especially like the last 4, when after the movie, people are chatty. They're like, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
which happens. It's really sweet. And I guess basically what I'm doing is I'm shooting out a flare saying, do you guys see this? Do you guys feel this? Is this right? Or is this what's going on? Or wouldn't this be cool? You know,
Right.
That's what I'm doing when I make a movie.
Well, that's the way to do it, man. I mean, it's a true form of expression. Like, instead of you saying, "Oh, this'll sell," you know, hey, if I box this with that and add in a funny black guy, boom, I'm fucking, I'm in.
If I do the voice,
Yeah. Instead, you're like, you know what, man, I'm fucking into Bigfoot. Let's make this weird, fucking crazy movie about Bigfoot.
Well, that's what I got to say about my wife. That's really funny. She says, go, go to your Bigfoot. Like she
you wanted to get it. She wanted you to get it out of your system.
She let me drive around for a week.
So is that what you did to write it? You just drove around for a week?
I truly wasn't even like writing. It was really just I'm gonna go. I'm gonna talk to people. I'm just gonna do this with no agenda. You know?
Wow.
I knew that someday I'd probably make a movie, but it was really more just like, do you know how freeing that is? To like take out like 5-6 days and not have, I still had to do a couple phoners, which is funny, They go, "Where are you?" I'm looking for Bigfoot. Man.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You're doing phoners for gigs, like for upcoming gigs?
Yeah. Well, I'll be in Peoria at the jukebox, but right now I'm at
So you go out there, you take 11 days, you go wandering around for Bigfoot. Where did you decide to start? Did you have a specific...
No. I drove up first to Santa Cruz and the Sierras, too. And I drove around there.
I heard Santa Cruz is amazing. I've never been. I heard it's beautiful.
It's really, really awesome. I just went where, like, kind of poked around and knew certain sites where people had seen, or heard, or events, So, and that's, again, I ended up in Willow Creek. I didn't go up to Happy Camp, which I probably will still. I mean, that's another pretty a Sasquatch.
Happy Camp?
Yeah, it's above Orleans. It's above Bluff Creek and everything. It's still another place that there's a lot of Squatch activity.
Isn't there a bunch of different names for those areas too that are like monkey names and ape names?
Yeah.
Ape Canyon. And,
Yeah, in Oregon, yeah.
Very strange. How
It's
many?
like why?
things.
Yeah.
And in Mount Rainier, up in that area, there's a bunch of names that are the one of the North American names for Bigfoot. There's a bunch of like canyons that are named after that. Like, so this guy starts talking about all these different areas, and it's got this weird North American, name in it.
Right.
And he said, well, that's how we started our Bigfoot squatching. We just started going to all these places that the North American Indians had named after Bigfoot. I'm like, that is fucking crazy. Like, they named spots.
Again,
it makes you fucking think.
Yeah, and it's also, but when all's said and done, it's whenever you're a subculture, you're gonna get ridiculed and picked upon. But like you said, it's just camping.
It's and it's fun. There's something silly about it. I mean, I went with Duncan Truss and we ate pot candies and had a fucking blast.
Well, that's what I was wondering about, because I know some of these guys are high.
Of course.
But they're very worried about what Bigfoot, because Bigfoot likes different smells, and
right.
So I'm like, are they eating it? They gotta eat it.
Well, if they're smart, they'd eat it. But even if you eat strong weed, like
it's still,
you open up. Like, I remember one time, a car, I won't even say his name, but we were on a plane, and he had brought a Tupperware thing in his fucking carry-on with weed cookies, and it was an international flight. Okay. And this motherfucker opens the lid, and he goes, "You want
Red
one?"
Band's not here. You can say
it wasn't him.
No, I know.
I'll tell you that. He opens the lid, and the smell was so strong. I'm like, "Oh my god, we're going to jail!" I'm like, "Are you crazy? Do you know what that smells like?" He's like, "I can't even smell it." And I was like, "You can't smell it because you've been smelling it for so long.
You are it.
Oh, you become it." It was so scary. It was so powerful, strong. I would think if you had those brownies out there in the woods, Bigfoot's gonna fucking smell that.
Now, have I ever told you the Tony V story about when he was the American Tourister gorilla?
No.
Okay, this is great.
I don't think so.
Tony won a contract to be the gorilla, and so he'd show up. Now, Tony's a big guy, right? He's like 250, maybe a little heavier sometimes, but so he's a big guy. I think he was about three bills when he was the gorilla. So Rick Baker builds him a gorilla suit that's $20,000. It's made of like real hair, and it's got this whole gorilla muscle structure. Now, Tony goes to like hockey games and stuff, and people get mad, they're like, he goes out on the ice, "Fuck you, gorilla, you're not the real gorilla," people are just mad. We're fucking horrible, aren't we?
Animals.
Animals. So Tony, the gorilla suit's got a better deal than Tony. It's got a guy that travels with these anvil cases and packs it up, and so Tony's just doing stand-up in the meantime with me and hopscotching while he's doing the gorilla dates. Now, the gorilla suit is not with us, but he's got this onesie, this big unitard that he wears under the gorilla suit. And clearly he was having some chafing problems. So he goes and so we're getting searched through customs going out of Canada. And there's all this like white powder and rocks that form from his sweat, from the crotch sweat. And swear to God, the custom guy licks his finger. And he picks up one of the rocks and he tastes it from his balls. It was a ball.
No!
It was a rock of baby powder.
From his balls.
From his ball sweat. And I think I'm witty. All I do is I go, his balls. That's all I got. I'm just tears. And
that's all you can get out is his balls.
As soon as the rock, this thing hit his tongue, he was just immediately, he's like, I don't know what he's thinking. He's like, he could tell, like, he's like, balls and old man dick, and he's just like, what the fuck is going on? It was the best face ever. Just like hyperventilating. We were actually, because I love Tony. Like Tony, I love Tony, and we're just holding each other up. We're just two guys just wrapped around each other, crying. It was the best thing.
And what is the guy
It was
doing?
the best thing we ever saw.
What is he doing?
Furious.
He's mad?
Furious.
What the fuck?
Because
Who
he
told him to put it in his mouth?
We could have stopped him, by the way. 'cause
Yes.
He licks the finger, and then he's got all the way down, and we both look, hunk, like our heads snapping.
That
Like
is so funny.
that was the best thing
He
ever.
thought it was Coke. He thought he was catching someone
Yeah, he
with
thought
Coke.
he got the big...
I got a big case here.
He's got the...
It's a big collar.
He's going to get kicked upstairs.
Oh, that is so funny.
I
Tony
don't...
V told me one of the most important things that I ever learned about driving. Because he was driving back and forth from New York to Boston. It was a long thing, and he was doing it a lot. I forget what he was working on, but he was driving back and forth a lot. And I go, how do you do that without going crazy? He goes, I just go zen. He goes, when I'm in the car, I just say, now this is what I'm doing. He goes, I don't say, man, I wish I wasn't doing this, and I could be doing something else. He goes, I just say, this is what I'm doing. And I never thought about it that way. I was like, yeah, you can do things you don't want to do like that, and just have it in your head. Yeah, now this is what I'm doing.
My wife had a friend who he sold ice cream in an ice cream truck, and it played Turkey in the Straw over and over.
What is that?
All day long, Turkey in the Straw.
Oh.
And he said, you know what I did? I said, I'm going to make that my favorite song. So it became his favorite jam.
Wow, that's madness.
Like, yeah. Ice cream truck, that would be the best job. That would be horrible.
You could deal with a lot of shitty kids. They would definitely make you want to not have kids.
Yeah, and I'd also be like, you giving kids ice cream on the side. And mostly, aren't people just selling weed out of ice cream trucks? I don't know.
If you're lucky, if you're
I
in
mean,
a
there was
good
the Van
neighborhood.
Halen song. You know what's funny as you grow up? Like I grew up. You know, I was the first generation of like getting, you know, the Ramones. You know, I got to see them live. Actually, would help build the PAs. That's how I'd sneak into bars when I was underage. The Ramones and just punk rock and all this stuff. And I rebelled against all this stuff as it kept coming up. Like then later on the kids were into Van Halen. I'm like, that's not punk rock. You know, I was an asshole, right? But I was down in Baja with a bunch of buddies, and they were all surfing, and I'm like I mean, we were in the middle of nowhere, like about 5-6 hours. No, yeah, you know, just I don't know if you ever gone down to Mexico.
No,
I think it's a little too sketchy now, but there's nothing around there. Any surfers would know Shipwreck. It's a famous surf site, and you know, and we're driving along the side of a cliff, and I'm driving this Jeep. And we're playing Panama from Van Halen, fucking loud, and everybody's fucked up except me. I'm the designated. I'm, you know, Joe Sober, fucking. But it was finally, I was like, "Hey man, I get Van Halen."
You finally got it.
I got Van Halen.
What was the song that pushed you over the edge?
It was Panama. That song.
It's a great fucking song.
It's just loud, and there's stars, and these guys are screaming. And as I keep speeding, going over gigantic potholes, they're all thinking they're doomed, and I was like, it's like I'm good in chaos. I go, now I get Van Halen.
Isn't that a funny thing that you do though? Like that people do, we all do it, especially when you're young. Where if someone doesn't like what you like, you get fucking angry.
You're so angry.
And you're like, what you like is shit.
You know,
and like you hate them for liking it.
Here's an exclusive because I do tell a lot of yarns, and well, they're all true, but I have a lot of stories. Here's a story I've never told anyone. When I was opening for Nirvana, we were at here in L.A., so I don't know which Forum. I think it was the Forum. I don't know, but and Eddie Van Halen shows up, and he's really fucking hammered, and he wants to jam, and Kurt is totally flipped out, like Eddie Van Halen wants to. He's like, hide me, you know.
So Eddie wants to go up and shred.
Yeah, and he's fucking hammered. I go, dude, give him one of your guitars, because Kurt played left-handed,
right?
And I go, it'll be great, you know. He won't be able to play it, and he's like, he would figure it out. Like I was like, this would be so funny. But it was really weird.
He probably would. We had David Lee Roth come in here. He couldn't be fucking cooler. I met him one night at the Comedy Store. He was the greatest guy. Just hanging out, no pretense, just him and a buddy.
In the 80s, they were going to, because Purple Rain made money, and they were going to give him money. And it was this, you know, insane script, you know. It was just...
a movie?
Yeah. Really? I went in and read for him.
Why did they never do that? He's so charismatic.
Yeah.
Why did they never give him a movie? That's what... He's probably too busy fucking everything.
But there could be a movie there. You know, that's the thing. It's like, look at him. You know, maybe...
But you know what he's doing now?
What?
He lives in Japan, okay? He lives in an apartment with his dog, and he practices sword fighting all day. I'm not kidding.
No, I
Moved to
believe
Japan
it.
by himself. He's a fascinating guy. We had him in here. First of all, the fucking guy wears overalls everywhere he goes. Okay?
He's comfortable with his nipples.
I don't know. He just likes wearing overalls.
No, but
he just enjoys them.
Don't they bug your nipples?
I haven't worn them in a long time. I'd have to cut back to you on
Coveralls
that.
or overalls?
Overalls. You know, where they have the little things like the farmers wear.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
They clip up here, and we had. See, look, he's wearing overalls. See that?
Oh, he's got a shirt on.
Yeah.
That. I thought he wasn't wearing a shirt.
No, look, overalls. It's hilarious.
And so he does his sword and
Practices sword fighting.
and not to be so crass, but is he set? I mean,
Financially?
yeah, I'm sure
oh
he's
my
got.
God.
Well, you never
Do you know
know.
how much fucking money David Lee Roth must have? David Lee Roth is, first of all, he's very smart. And I think he's also a savvy guy. I do not see him overindulging to the point of something like that. He likes living small. He shows up here by himself. I mean, he's one of the biggest
Right.
rock stars of all time. Drives himself here, shows up by himself. Hey guys, no pretense. Comes in, sit down. How's everybody?
But a lot of the folks that have longevity do that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like I haven't seen him in a long time, but there was a period where I spent some time around. I sound like I'm just name dropping all my stories, but with
No, you
David
don't.
Bowie, and he would do that. You know,
Now you do.
He
You
would
said
try-
Bowie, now you don't. No,
now you sound like well when I started talking, you know, I know.
No, I'm just kidding.
It is, yeah.
But it's true. If you know David
But here's
Bowie,
the
it's a
thing:
true story.
you've always if you're in show business, these are the folks that you become friends with. Not all of them, but you know,
Sometimes,
so
yeah.
your stories. I mean, you just told me a David Lee Roth story.
Yeah.
I mean, but you also have a show. Maybe that.
Well, he came in to promote his show. He has a podcast. He
From
has his
Japan?
own podcast. Yeah, he does it from Japan. It's fucking great. It's great. It's fun.
He
It's
gets
fun
up,
listening to.
does his
Yeah,
podcast,
He does a video podcast. I think.
And then
find out what the address is. I don't know what the address is.
and then
David Lee
he
Roth's podcast
sword
is.
fights.
I think he calls it the Dave TV or something like that.
Now I remember he also. I heard this. I don't know if this is true, but I heard that, and you would know this maybe because of martial arts. He would sweep the stage after the show.
Really?
I heard that. I don't know if that's true.
I didn't ask him, but I could see him doing something like that. Just as a discipline.
Yeah.
I could see him doing so. He's a weird guy. The
I
Roth
remember-
Show. That's what he
I
calls
remember
it.
we were again with the Nirvana, but this is it's another funny story I thought was one of the crew guys had worked with the Nuge, had worked with Ted Nuge, and Kurt enjoyed hearing this story because you know the Nuge would hit the stage with an air ramp, like he'd hit this air ramp, you know, like a stuntman, and it would
Right.
shoot him over the amp. But I guess
Wow.
and so he'd come flying in, wow, with the guitar and just go shooting over and land, which
Land on what?
he would hit the stage. I
How
mean,
far would he fall?
from the top of a stack of Marshalls.
Holy
so
shit.
It shot him off like a cannon. So, but apparently, Kurt enjoyed it because I witnessed hearing the story about when he clipped the top of the speakers with like his boot heels and just ate shit and landed on his guitar. Kaboing!
Oh, well, his knees are all fucked up.
Well-
he hobbles really bad now. I think he just had some serious knee
It
operations.
could be that air ramp.
Jesus, I'd imagine.
Aren't you glad we don't have to go out that way?
Flying over the fucking top of a truck with probably cowboy boots on or something stupid, right?
But you know, every audience, you know, isn't red hot. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be times where you go over the amp and the crowd's like, huh?
Staring at you.
Yeah, they're in a beer line.
I'm trying to get him to do the podcast. He's going to be at the Canyon Club in July.
Well, why wouldn't he?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I want to
Of course
get him.
he will.
I shot an animal for him, just to be friends. I went
you?
deer hunting just so I could call
Did
him my
you?
friend.
And
No, that's not why I did it.
Yeah, okay.
But I really would like to get him in. He's a fascinating character.
Of course he is.
And his hunting show, I watched his hunting show. It's called Spirit of the Wild.
And is it the hunting? Does he go around the world or is it in his backyard?
The second
See,
part.
Yeah. Now see.
The latter.
When the Kimmel Show was in Detroit, I pitched an idea that nobody bit, and the idea was we were gonna get the Nuge, right? We're gonna get Ted on, and then we're gonna pick like Guillermo and Uncle Frank, and maybe someone else. And
Go bow hunting.
no, I was gonna. I was just gonna give them a paint gun and then make them, the hardest prey, I mean, and send them out in the streets and have Ted Nugent hunt Uncle Frank.
That's funny.
And it was great because it was a snowstorm. It would have been so fun,
That would have been really funny.
These guys running away from Nuge while he hits them with paintballs. I mean,
and it was in Detroit in the snow.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been hilarious.
I was just in I was in Detroit this weekend doing stand-up, and then I went to Dallas and showed Willow Creek down there at a small festival called the Oak Cliff Festival. It was fun.
Nugent has this hunting show, and he sets food out, and then he climbs in a tree with a bow and arrow and just fucks these deer up. Every day he's fucking up a new deer that's going to eat his food.
Now, but see,
he eats them, and then he gives
on
the
his
food away.
land,
Yes.
Does he have to abide by
It depends on the animal.
Michigan law?
He's not in Michigan anymore. He's in Texas. I'm kind of a fanboy.
Okay.
Kind of a Ted Nugent fanboy.
So in Texas, can he just, shoot? You know what I'm saying? Like if he owns an animal, can he kill it without having to abide by?
Texas is one of the best places for that, for what they call high fence operations. But it depends on the animal, and there's a lot of animals that they keep in those high fence places that are not they're not native. They're like African animals, like a scimitar.
So they don't have
oryx.
a season?
No,
because they're
no
from
season.
other.
They shoot them whenever they want to. So you could shoot them every day if you chose.
So they come from another country.
Yep.
They go, this is pretty nice. I'm getting 3 squares. Holy shit, is that Ted Nugent? Mom!
This is a fucking flying stick right through my heart.
So my older brother, he's no longer with us, but he was a poacher. I mean, that's why he just shot things all year long.
Well, that's really common in a lot of places.
Yeah, I mean,
the Pacific Northwest, they were telling us how to poach. When we were up there hunting for Bigfoot, there was a woman who worked at this store. She was like,
she was a poacher?
She goes, when we see elk, we just shoot them with a bow and arrow, and nobody could hear it.
Well, my brother had everything figured out. He had. I brought Tony V out to his house once. And I'd given him some money to insulate his home. And I wanted to buy some new windows, and I wanted to make sure he used the money. So I went to visit my brother, basically. And Tony, we get out of the car, and there's just corn, like psycho corn. It's just growing up everywhere. And Tony's, what's going on with the corn? Because it's, there's no rows. And my brother's like, oh, that's for the deer. Bob, it's for the deer. And Tony's like, oh, You help him through the winter? He's like, I'm going to blast him. So I go up to the top store of the window in the bathroom, and it's shattered.
It's a fucking sniper's perch.
Yeah. I go, what happened to the bathroom window? He goes, oh, recoil. My brother.
He's shooting out the window.
On the toilet. He's shooting deer from the toilet. By the way, there's some guys who are going, wow, that guy had it all.
He had it all.
He had it all.
All he's missing is a Q-tip in his ear while he's taking his shit and shooting a deer.
Lamb. He'd be like, and they want to go hunting and meet me in the kitchen.
It's the perfect
when
day.
we were leaving, Tony V goes, hey, what is that over there? What's that, like a woodchuck? And my brother goes, yeah. And then we're not even around the corner, and we're blam. And Tony goes, I just figured that woodchuck. I go, yeah, you dropped the dime on that woodchuck. That woodchuck.
Why would he shoot a woodchuck?
Because he just shot animals. He went. His friends were telling me, his stories were amazing. Stories I hadn't heard. Oh yeah, your brother, because there's a swan pond. I was like, don't tell me he killed swans. He goes, no. But there was some big, I don't know what was in there, trout or something. So they had taken acid, and they were climbed over into the swan pond and were fishing and shooting. He would go dynamite fishing. That's why, my life is like, I had back surgery less than a month and a half ago. It was my birthday at the end of May, and I get a ladder out, and the 09's like, what are you doing? I go, well, I think it'd be fun to jump into the pool from the ladder. Because instead of, and she's like, that is a horrible idea.
Jesus Christ. I just see you slipping, the thing coming down, and the ladder.
All right. Well, I'll give you an idea. I was sitting at home, and because of the back surgery. And
what did you get done to your back?
I had some disc and bone spurs, and I feel great.
What'd they do?
They took a little bit of my disc away and took out the bone spurs. But I had other problems before. I had nerves that were smashed into 2 vertebrae.
Yeah.
that were making it so my leg I couldn't walk.
I have back issues. That's what
Oh,
I'm asking.
really?
I have a bulging disc.
Oh, well, I have a dude when you want to cowboy
So they
up.
they cut a piece of the disc away?
Yeah, and I got to
it
tell
doesn't
you,
hurt?
the surgery heals up, and now my leg, and I don't have back pain. You know, I lost 20 pounds. I as soon as because I have my life back. But
That's amazing.
But so I said that I've been sober since I was 19. But 19. So, but the thing is with the back surgery, I had a break. They put me on Dilaudid. Was a basic.
Holla.
Yeah. So have you had Dilaudid?
No, but
so
it's in cowboy movies.
Yeah, it's morphine. So it's the shit that killed Lenny Bruce and
Really?
Yeah. So it's awesome. By the way, it was the best thing ever. I was trying to explain it. And I was like, I said it's not because like people describe heroin as coming as like like that, and it's like no, it's Dilaudid is like right after that and before regret. You know what I mean? It's before shame and regret.
Right.
It's that
the bridge.
5-second window, and it lasts all day.
Where would you put NyQuil? Like original NyQuil, the real shit.
Compared to Dilaudid?
Yeah.
Like a 2.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. It was and I'm glad I went through this back surgery and when it was over, got off the dope. And,
yeah, that's what I was going to ask
and
you.
I gave
were you nervous about that?
I was terrified, and I gave it to the 09.
Why did you need it?
Because of the pain. I mean, the pain was so bad. Like they go to you
Post-surgery pain?
Pre and post, but the problem is that I have no sense of reality. Like I don't know the difference between an ingrown toenail and a ruptured disc. I really don't. Like it's just pain. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was in so much pain, and it was so. But here's at one point already I have a problem with good ideas and bad ideas. So my friends are over the house, and I say to my wife, I go, wouldn't it be funny if I shot a hole in the roof with a .22? And she goes, it wouldn't be funny at all. I go, yeah, it'd scare the cats.
This is why you're on Dilaudid?
Yeah.
With a gun.
Yeah, well, at least
Hunter Thompson Jr. over here.
at least I ran it by her.
Wow,
like,
thank
no,
God she's there for you.
She's like, no, that wouldn't be.
She's your filter.
Yeah.
It's amazing you need someone to tell you that.
Well, that was Dilaudid. but I will say it's always, and I've passed this down to my daughter, it's always the funny story. That outweighs everything else.
Oh,
like later on, it's the funny
Well, that's
story.
also what's gotten you, as a comic, that's sort of what gets you, like, your life, your career. Part of your livelihood is having these stories. It's a valuable asset.
Well, like, I love that my daughter has it.
Oh, that's cool. I mean,
Like,
she loves her daddy.
She went to a wedding. She says, I didn't know anybody. I go, well, what did you do? She said, during the first song, I ran out and humped the bride. People are like, who the fuck is that broad?
She really did that?
Oh,
for
yeah.
real?
Yeah,
Oh,
of course.
hilarious.
She always knows that it's the stories. You know, she's got the photos. Look, Dad.
Now, when you took this Dilaudid shit, you were 19, you quit doing everything,
Yeah.
and then is it 19 to 50, and then there's nothing in between then?
Well, I had a back surgery before, so that was funny because at one point, like I said, I put it in the hands of someone else. I give it to my wife.
But do you give yourself a green light to do shit like that because you're in pain? Like, is
I
that
had
the
to
idea
I had
behind
to
it?
talk to other folks and say, look, man, and that had to explain this is what this is for.
But I've had surgery before, knee surgery,
Yeah.
and I just dealt with the pain because I don't like Vicodin.
Right.
I don't like.
I don't like all that stuff. All that stuff actually has a really weird reaction to
Yeah.
me, and I become a big asshole.
Oh, that's interesting.
I become really nasty.
Does it make you cranky? Is that
I
what it is?
just really an asshole, and I mean I'm not like punching my wife, but I mean
Right,
I'm,
but just you don't
I'm
like
just
yourself.
short, and I just tell her
Yeah.
what to do, and so this was what worked, and you know I was on this and the first time, and she.
Did you ever try to do it without it?
Yeah, definitely.
too painful.
And they're going, "This is crazy," you know. And they actually just slammed morphine into my back because they're going, "This is crazy that you're walking around," you know. And I thought, well, okay, I can handle it.
I'm
And
sorry I
you know what
interrupted
did?
you.
You
Go
know
ahead.
what I did? I just vomited immediately.
That's funny.
But I was, I was sitting there one day, and this is the first time, and I'm watching Lifetime, and I'm just sobbing. And my wife comes in and she goes, "You don't get any more pain medicine starting now." I married a man.
Oh, that's funny.
I did not marry a man that cries during "Mommy, May I Sleep with Danger" starring Tori Spelling or whatever I was watching on Lifetime.
Lifetime movies made you cry.
Yeah, she's like,
remind me.
She's like, that's it.
Remind me not to take that stuff ever. I don't want to cry, and I want to watch Lifetime movies. I don't want either one of those things.
I was doing Q&As for the movie on Dilaudid.
Wow.
When I went to the Boston Film
Did you tell the
Festival.
people that you were on it?
Yeah, I just said, I'm really high. Because what else was I going to do?
Now, was it painful just to sit down, just to sit up straight? Did you feel it in your back?
It got to the point where sitting was a pain and walking was a pain. And
Lower back?
Yeah, and it affected my life to the point where, I don't know if you're this way, but you go, you measure things. If I go to the store, that's going to hurt a lot. Can I go? You know what I mean? It started affecting what you do to the point where, I didn't have... I was 50 or in my late 40s and thinking like a senior citizen. So
Whoa.
And now I'm back.
That's amazing. Yeah, back surgery's scary shit. Back surgery is a spooky one for people.
I have I have a great doctor, but it sounds like, are you worried about the controls surrendering it? Is that it? I mean, I went to a bunch of doctors. Oh, really?
Yeah, I've had nose surgery, back surgery. I mean, knee surgery three times, 3 knee surgeries.
What happened to your knee?
I tore my ACL in both knees. I had them reconstructed, and I tore my meniscus. The first one was kickboxing. The second one was jiu-jitsu.
And what happens?
What
Take me through that. Like, when it happens, you like...
Well, the first one...
Did you think you broke your leg?
I knew something was really bad. I knew something was really wrong. Like, it popped. It was a terrible tear. Terrible pain. The first one hurt a lot more. The second one didn't even hurt. It was really weird because it was I was in what's called a half guard. So someone's legs are wrapped around your legs, and he extended his legs, and my leg went sideways and just went snap like a carrot. It was really weird. It was like this pop noise, and then I didn't even know it was the ACL was gone until I was walking. I think it was in my office. I was moving something, and my leg just gave out on me.
That's really weird.
And I had already had my left done, so I knew that my right was probably fucked. So
and
I
was
went and got it fixed.
The first one, was that during a match?
No, it was training. Both of them were during training.
Okay. And how does the other guy feel? Is he's like...
So, yeah, it wasn't his fault. It was totally...
No, but I mean, does he feel weird?
Oh, yeah, he felt bad. He felt terrible. The guy, Will's the guy who it happened to the second time, was a friend of mine. He's a really nice guy.
And he feels terrible.
Yeah, when you train, I had a guy's leg explode on me a couple of times. Yeah, 2 different times that I can remember. One time the guy blamed me, but that was ridiculous. It's just in the middle scrambling. Like sometimes your knee just gives out, and then the one time was a guy didn't tap in time, and his knee just exploded. It just went pop, 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 pop. But it was like it was a weird situation. It was like he didn't really have to tap. Like sometimes, like you can get out of things and you're real close, and then all something in the middle of like trying to get out of it, like he was pretty close to getting out of it, his knee just gave out. Like,
got you.
It was a weird sort of a thing, and it made this horrible loud sound. And
now that sounds to me, you're thinking that I'm crazy because I'm gonna jump off the ladder.
Yeah,
I was gonna get someone to steady it.
Well, it can be dangerous. Like I said, I've had my nose opened up and fixed, and it's a little insane, but it's also very intoxicating. It's fun. It's like it's a very exciting game.
Now you don't do it.
Sure I do.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that's stopping me right now is I have this little disc issue.
Yeah.
But the disc is getting a lot better. It's pretty close.
You got to get it taken care of.
No, it's not. It's not like it was only a few millimeters, the bulge.
Oh, okay.
So it was something that with spinal decompression and a bunch of different things.
I actually saw mine on the MRI, and it was like a comedic. It looked like a bicycle tire. It was a bloop.
Oh, wow.
It was that big.
Do you remember how many millimeters it poked out?
No, I mean, it was like they put on the MRI, and the 2 doctors go, "Oh, you!" Like Whoa. They were like, "Oh, yeah." It was like I said, "Okay."
Yeah, mine is actually asymptomatic right now. It's just stiff, and it's just
but these
it's getting
things
better.
Are the things. This is the problem.
The problem?
The problem is by the time you figure out how to do it, what makes you happy, the wheels start falling off. You were just telling me you might need to get glasses. I mean, it's
yeah, no, I definitely should get reading glasses. Well, I have actually reading glasses. Like when I look at things, like anything that close is kind of blurry, like right there. That's blurry. But like my computer's fine. Like I can read everything on the computer. I don't need it. It's things that are close. It's
Well,
like my phone sometimes. Like sometimes when I wake up, I can't read a number. I'm like, how the fuck? Like if I have to actually dial it on my home phone, I'm just looking at like, what the fuck is that? It's weird. Then I have to go like that.
it's
and then I see it.
the cruel joke of time.
Yeah, time's a motherfucker.
I hate to be so cliche, but as you get older, you're like, that's like I said, that's who I compete with now.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why I
I'm
think.
not like going. Wait a second. Did the Grim Reaper get a Comedy Central special? Motherfucker, what do I got to do?
Competing. Yeah, you do wind up thinking you got to get out more shit before you go.
But
I don't wanna
conflict
be
is
left
this,
behind.
conflict is what builds everything. It's what creates everything. It's why anything's interesting.
Yeah, conflict or just pure enjoyment of whatever you're doing. That too.
That's true.
Conflict
That's the
kind of. There is a bunch of things that can move it along, right?
Well, the cool thing is if you stop making the conflict being other people and you use your own demons as the conflict, so then you don't have to create.
Yeah,
I can sit there and write a screenplay and not go down and not go to a terrible place.
Yeah.
Like I go, nah, yeah, go back and forth with myself.
When you create something like this movie or anything where you write it, do you sometimes like get out of it and go, "Who the fuck wrote that?" Like it's just almost like it comes from somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that it's almost like this sounds really trippy. But I think a lot of this stuff, and here you're on stage and you say something that you never said before, and it's not even derivative. It's not something, your buddies and you or you guys discuss. It's a brand new thought. You kind of feel like it's just there already. It's like this stream, and then you reach up and you grab it. And the big part of it is trying to. I can't believe I'm not on Dilaudid right now. But the big part of it is getting yourself out of the way so you can just grab that stuff.
That's a great way to describe it.
Because I'm terrible. I'm a failure. I'm a hack. This has all been done before. Nobody likes me. Boo-hoo. It's so exhausting. And that stuff's just having a big ego in reverse. It's still a big ego.
Yeah. You're thinking about yourself instead of thinking about what you're doing or going zen and
just
focusing
make
on
stuff.
Yeah, just make stuff. It should be a shirt.
Make stuff.
Just make stuff.
The other cliche, which is true. You're feeling bad. Why don't you do something good?
Yeah. This. Did you ever read any of Pressfield's stuff, like
No.
The War of Art?
No.
He talks about the muse, and he talks about it and treats it like it's a real thing. And it's kind of an interesting idea because people think of the muse, that like in the idea is that there's something that gives you these ideas or something that you pay tribute to, and then it gives you ideas.
Right.
And he actually sort of actively courts it. Like he actively says I'm going to respect the muse. I'm going to show up at work every day. And I'm going to put in the hours, and when I put in the hours, the muse will come.
Yeah.
And like he sort of his philosophy on it is very enlightening, and it's also very it's inspiring because it makes you want to write. It makes you want to create.
Yeah.
It makes you want to that attitude is a very beneficial attitude to have. It's sort of spiritual and mumbo jumbo and kind of crazy.
No,
but it's not.
I say the nicest compliment I've ever received is this friend of mine who Tom Link, I think, and he saw a movie of mine and he said, "I want to go write."
Ah, yeah, that's great.
And I was like, "Oh, that's nice."
I always feel that way.
And
when
the
I go
cynical
see good
me is
comedy.
like, "What? He thought he could do better? No, a dirty prick. Why's he gonna know?" No, I was like, that was the nicest thing anyone's ever said. I think after a movie of mine.
Yeah, that is one of the coolest things about other artists. Is that
I
they
don't
inspire
know-
you to create more of it.
I truly don't know when I'm making these movies what they're about. Later on, I'll say, "Oh, that's this character, that's this person in my life," and I have no idea until after they're done and I'm watching them. Like my wife was like, "You didn't get that this is just prettier people playing you and me in this movie?" I was like, "I'm a fucking idiot." Yeah, it is.
Well, listen, man, your movie's fucking badass, and
Oh,
I
great.
really
Thanks,
wish
man.
you all the best in the world. I will cherish these Bigfoot socks
Got some Bigfoot
for the rest of my
socks
life.
And
I
the
love
posters
them.
are really rad. My friend Alex
Yeah, we're
Hardy
gonna
made them. And
we'll get
he's-
one framed and we'll put it up on the Hall of Fame here.
Please
and
do.
It's
He
called
did it-
Willow Creek. And
Willow Creek.
if anybody wants to see it, what will be the availability?
It's
Will
still
it
in
be-
some festivals, and as soon as I get a distribution of some level, I'd love to come back. Probably I'd like to come back before that.
Fuck yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
anytime. And please, if there's anybody out there that has anything to do with the movie business, just check this out. It's fucking great. You're going to enjoy the shit out of it. And we need fun movies. It's a fun movie.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Thanks.
I'm not going to say any more about it.
Great.
No, and you don't either, man.
Yeah, I know.
You can't. It's one of those movies where you can't say, "Oh, I love that scene."
Yeah.
You can't even say it. Enjoy the shit out of it, ladies and gentlemen. It's called Willow Creek, and we'll keep you updated as far as whatever Bob gets, whatever distribution. We'll tweet it. We'll put it out there for you. And I know people are going to want to check this out. And if people want to get in touch with you or see any of your shit, do you have a website?
No,
Do you have
Grandpa's
anything?
on Instagram. That's about it. But I'm
What's
really
the Instagram?
It's just Bobcat Goldthwait, all one word. It's hard to spell, but
You can figure it out.
figure it out.
folks.
Yeah.
Figure
So
it out.
I'm on Instagram, and I'm pretty close to pulling the trigger on the Twitter, maybe.
Do it, please. Come
Okay.
on, man. Do it.
Okay.
We'll pump you up. We'll have a contest to see how many Twitter followers we can get.
You have
in
like
a day.
a million?
Yeah, I
Holy
think
crap.
it's a little more than that. So it's about.
You're like, hey man, who's in the numbers? It's over 1 million, okay?
I don't know
Listen,
what
Bob
it is now.
Scratch.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know. All I know is I'm pretty close to 9,000 Instagram. Whatever.
9,000.
9,000 people looking at pictures of my cats. Yeah, there's a lot of pictures of my cat, Squeaky Fromm, in my underpants. We'll talk
Your
about
cat
that
is
the
named
next
Squeaky
time.
Fromm?
Yeah,
I had a
'cause-
dog named Squeaky Fromm.
Did you really?
Yes.
Girl?
Yeah.
Did you redhead?
No. She's
Oh.
a female pit bull.
Well, because she was red, and I found her wandering the streets of Hollywood,
Yeah.
just like Manson.
Well, my dog killed 2 dogs.
That's a pretty badass dog.
She's kind of crazy dog.
So
She killed a boy dog.
She's not really.
She's not around anymore.
Yeah, she's not really Squeaky Fromm then.
We had to take her out of the loop. She was awesome though. She loved me. Anyway,
Squeaky Fromm's my best friend.
I used to love Squeaky Fromm, my dog too. So it's all good. She
a
just
good
had
name.
a troubled childhood. I got her I got her a little too late.
Yeah.
I got her when she was already a year old and already crazy.
That cat I actually found. Well, we'll wrap it up. We'll talk about my cats the next time. I got a lot. I could go on for hours. about my
Bobcat
cats.
Goldthwait, ladies and gentlemen. I know he has to pee, so
I
we're
got-
gonna wrap this motherfucker up nice and tidy.
He's gonna be. You can see me on Comics Unleashed with Byron Allen.
Don't do it. Thanks to Stamps.com. Use the code word JRE and save yourself some money. Thanks to Ting. Go to Rogan.ting.com to save yourself some cash as well. Something's wrong with my Microsoft Word. What the fuck is happening here? And thanks to... Who else was on this one? Stamps.com. Oh, LegalZoom. Yeah, LegalZoom, bitches. That's the newest one. LegalZoom is our newest sponsor. And if you go to LegalZoom.com and use the code word JRE, you'll save yourself some money. No, it's Rogan. That's it. Yeah. LegalZoom. To get a special discount from listening to the podcast, enter the code name Rogan in the referral box for checkout for more savings. Thanks to Onnit.com as well. Go to ONNIT and use the code name Rogan. We'll be back tomorrow with my pal Aubrey Marcus, and that'll be it for the week because I gotta go out squatching. I'm not done. I'm looking for. I got a lot of crazy shit going on.
I
this
know
week.
I'm going in the fall.
Are you really?
Yeah.
How dare you? Bobcat Goldthwait. Thank you. We'll see you guys. We love you. Big kiss.